Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Global Championship powered by GT Omega, round number 7. And we are at the simply sublime Shanghai International Circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge. Josh Davis tonight is just sunning himself somewhere, which I bet we wish we all were doing, judging by the British weather today. But I am joined by the fabulous Chris Buxton. Chris, how are you doing?
I am ready and raring to go. I love this series. It has produced some incredible moments throughout its 6 rounds done so far. 4 remaining. So just over the halfway stage now. And Race Clutch holding the top honours at the moment, but not by an insurmountable amount over Visceral. So we are in for a fantastic night's racing at a truly magnificent circuit. I love Shanghai from a commentary perspective. It has never failed to give us some incredible moments.
Yeah, certainly. It's like you said, I think it is a brilliant track. Hopefully we'll get to see, like you said, some really fantastic action tonight. Last time around then, it was Race Clutch. You might remember Luke Smith took the victory on the line. It was originally, we thought, a 3rd place for Ruben Pedreño. It ended up getting adjusted to a 1-2 thanks to the stewards. So if we take a look at the standings, you can see their Race Clutch are on top with now 130 points, 15 ahead of Visceral, who have failed to get a podium in the last few rounds. Team TF10 in 3rd place. I believe both their drivers have got a qualifying ban, but that might not be a bad thing around China, as we'll talk about later. You see the rest of the standings there. One of the moves to note, ET8 getting their best results and their first points since round number 1 of the season. They have now overtaken WR, and it has looked for a bit. Chris said it is going to be a 3-horse race for the championship, and Race Clutch really stepping it up to the next level at the last round. They'll be hoping to continue that one. 4 rounds to go. VSR and TF10 have got to get a bit of a move on.
Yeah, the ball is in their court to be able to do it, but there's still 4 rounds remaining. So, I mean, no one is immune to issues. I mean, when I saw the Race Clutch lineup, I even just looking at them on paper, let alone the performances they've already put in, I thought, my God, that's going to be a very, very difficult lineup to beat. But you've got Patrick Sipos, Ruben Pedreño, Luke Smith, and Simon Perroni in that particular lineup. I believe it's Luke and Patrick that are with us this time around. And as you said, Luke, it was saying Luke was the winner last time out at France. Absolutely was. Looks like we've got 17 drivers in the lobby, which is just about to kick off. So yeah, they're going to be up against it. But I mean, Duncan Honflin, Thomas Harvey, Joost Noordijk, Andre Tarabukin, regular race winners in the league racing scene. But I mean, Fabricio Donoso and Alfie Butcher, really, really looking forward to them. And yes, indeed, both TF10 drivers have a quali ban. So that might be why we're a few drivers short at the start, as not every driver has to be in if they're not actually taking part in qualifying. So I think, just looking at the list, yeah, it's TF10 that we don't have in the lineup at the moment. But that said, even though the top 3 are quite a way clear of the rest of the field are really, really close together. So there's great bragging rights still to be won from the rest of our competitors.
Yeah, certainly. Parnell have put in some good performances. They have actually got Liam Parnell, who is a very quick driver in his own right. Got to be part of the Red Bull esports team, more known for his setup side of things, and that will always be crucial around a track like this. Addictos had 2 wins earlier in the season. Who can forget that when Lenny Pinter went on a fantastic run of form? And we've seen teams be there or thereabouts. WOR, the only team not to have any driver finish in the top 5 so far this season, but it certainly isn't for lack of trying. And as you've said, Chris, absolutely love the Shanghai circuit. Always seems to produce great racing. There's always the threat of weather, and it is one of the few tracks on this game where you can still make a 2-stop strategy work.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's really, really difficult to get a decent setup for this track. If that long back straight was shorter, you would go for a more downforce-based setup. But that long straight does mean that a lighter downforce setup really, really can come into his own. But this is a bit of a tire muncher, this one. So, yeah, the 2-stop strategy really can work. Exactly as you say. We've got a couple of drivers just leaving the pit lane now. Didn't quite see who they were. A few people thinking about soft or mediums and oddly intermediate tyres, and actually one of them is out on track on intermediate tyres. I have seen this in the likes of PSGL F1, where you burn up the intermediate tyres in Q1. So Patrick Sipos for Race Clutch is out there doing an exploratory lap in the Alpine.
Yeah, just doing this lap on the intermediates, just making sure that the setup, everything is working okay. Obviously, as you can see at the moment, we're not expecting the conditions that we got in qualifying last time out at France, at the home Grand Prix for Race Clutch, where it was really bucketing it down. And I saw an Instagram clip from Patrick Sipos on his Instagram, Race Clutch, really taking this series seriously. They are treating it almost like a practice run for esports, and obviously Pro Exhibition, all those events not too far away, so few drivers that are affiliated with them will be looking to put in good performances. And it's great to see that you've got teams, you know, like Race Clutch, officially affiliated with Alpine, really treating this seriously.
That's right. I mean, it's a great opportunity to pit your drivers against organisations, such as Race Clutch going up against the likes of TF10 in an arena where they don't normally do so. And what's also been great about this championship is each team has had the opportunity to field different drivers at different times. So that's not something you don't really see in the league racing scene. You have your drivers and you commit to them throughout the entire season. Whereas we've had a great opportunity to see numerous drivers taking part at in various teams, showcasing what they can do. We've got quite a few names I'm less familiar with as well. So less established drivers are having the opportunity to really try their mettle, try their worth, prove their worth against established names.
Yeah, that is, that's sort of the joys of this series. I think so far we're up to 40, if you include the two R8G drivers who took part in Stakalek and Azeldrim, I think we're up to 47 drivers so far in the first 6 races this season. Every team that is still active in the championship has used at least 3 drivers, and it is PSR who only came up partway through the season who've used 3, and they've got a 4th driver tonight in Joseph Loke, who anyone who's been watching the BTCC Championship and watches all the junior categories in between might have seen him just taking part in those. But we'll go on board with Bogdan Moldovan as he just makes his way for a first lap on a set of the medium tyres. I think we'll see a few drivers trying to see if they can sneak their way into the top 10 next time around. Of course, because there's a lobby reset in Q2, you have to start the race on the same type of tyre if you get into the top 10 that you use in Q2. As it's a lobby reset though, you still do get a fresh bit of rubber, and Bogdan really struggling with some understeer on the car. A fantastic place, I imagine, to stand and watch a Formula 1 car coming through turn 7 and 8, Chris.
Oh, I bet it is, as they're working their way through the twisties towards the short straight that Bogdan Moldovan is now going through. I actually commentated on him on a 6 Hours of Le Mans event only on Sundays. So, yeah, a very multi-talented driver representing the ET8 team this time out. Onto the long back straight. I wonder if is he going to be the first? No, he's not going to be the first driver to set a time. I think that's Patrick Sipos that's actually going to be the first person to get time on the board. Yeah, medium tours, like you say, that car's not quite behaving itself at the moment. So how representative this will be, we will see. Very low fuel. Patrick Sipos, 143.8 on the interior tyres. You can ignore that for the most part. There we go, 32.2 as an opening round. Yeah, we're going to be seeing times into the 130s before the end of Q3, I would imagine. But for now, the bar has been set by the Mercedes.
Yeah, Gregory Belletti now, he's heading towards the finish line on a set of the soft tyres, sliding his way around the final corner. And then straight away, 131, 121. And I imagine quite a bit of time lost through a final corner, which doesn't look too hard, but can be very tricky indeed. I've seen invalidations on the inside, I've seen invalidations on the outside, seen quite a few incidents on there in-game and in real life. A tricky pit entry, as well, as Lewis Hamilton famously found out in 2007, and Pastor Maldonado in 2014 as well. Always an awkward pit entry here to make sure you're not too greedy on the way in, and especially if you've got other cars coming into the pits, it can be very awkward indeed. Belletti, Moldovan, the only 2 drivers that have set a lap on the medium tyres. Sepas and Parnell on their 143.8 and 145.8 on the intermediates. And of course, because 3 drivers have got a qualifying ban, both TF10s, and also Andrew Karafi racing for PSR. That is why it's just Joseph Loke in the hat at the moment. Only 2 drivers are going out in this session, so the pressure is kind of off now.
It is to a point, and yeah, we'll see a few drivers trying a few different things in this session, as we see one of the ADRT drivers, Gregory Belletti, get the top of the tree, as you were saying, 31.1 on the softer tyres. Who else is set to do a lap? That would be Enrique Treviano. Whoa, the second Mercedes lively coming through turn 10. He too on the medium tyres. He's claimed a purple second apparently, but I'm not convinced that's entirely right. Oh, nope, had to bail out on that one. The tail just not happy with that. That last corner is so crucial. Well, that last corner, turn 13, is absolutely crucial to get right, just because you carry that speed such a long way. It's I believe it is the longest straight in the entire F1 calendar, so you've got to get that exit right. Williams, the other ADRT driver, Alberto Boros, where is he? He's coming through turn 6 at the moment. Looks like he's done a lap on these tyres, so may well have invalidated it, just then backed off and gone round again for another go. Top of the tree still held by Gregory Belatti. At the moment, we're looking to eliminate 2 drivers from the session. As you can see, with 17 in the session at the moment, that guarantees 2 spots for the drop zone at the moment. Who else can we look at? Well, the only one that's going to be setting a representative lap, I would think, is Alberto Barros, as everyone else is either on an out lap or on intermediate tyres.
Yeah, and Barros just making his way around that aforementioned turn number 13. Crucial you get a good run through there in qualifying and also in the race. That is where you really start suffering. The front left tyre takes an absolute hammering around this circuit. You've got the long turn number 1 and 2. You've got that long 12 to 13 as well. The front left takes a killing, and it is that one that will cause a lot of drivers problems in the race as they start understeering. No such issues for now, but that final corner again proving to be a bit tricky for Barros, and that will have invalidated this lap as well. Not that it mattered. He's not got enough fuel to make it around the circuit, so he stays without a lap time as well. One team that's gone for completely new drivers tonight is the Red Bull Isuzus. You've got Menno Nyssen and Vincent Nyquist, both new drivers to the Shizou team, signed from, I believe, Consistent Esports and Intrepid, respectively. Looking to impress for Shizou so far this season. All Shizou's points have been scored by Yerne Dovzan, so they'll be hoping for a good performance. Now a few more drivers are starting to head out onto the set of soft tyres. Still just under 10 minutes remaining. Still plenty of time to get some representative runs in.
Menno Nyssen then starting to push on as he's coming through 11 and 12. Proving his worth a little bit to his new signing. The Scottish-based squad are, of course, then interesting to see how he's going to do in a competition like this. Vincent Nyquist is behind him on track. Again, both are the Red Bulls on the softer tyre. See what they're able to do. Nyssen then into turn 14. Gets that one right. The amount of laps that have been ruined coming through turn 16, that final turn, I don't know. So many times I've seen people just wander that tiny bit too wide. But that is Menno Nyssen then with a 30.9 as he crosses the line. What does his teammate manage? A 31.0, not even a tenth between them. So the Red Bull pair, the Shizou squad, fairly close together at the moment.
Yeah, they'll be happy with those first representative runs. I think they will need a bit more to get through to the second part of qualifying. Probably, one. Well, I don't think we can really predict so much at the moment because we've not seen we've not seen too many laps. We'd be very brave to predict a time faster than that is going to be the cut-off point. But we are seeing more drivers heading out there on sets of soft tyres. One of them is Joseph Logue for the PSR, for Paradox Sim Racing. 8th in the championship on 24 points, and every single driver that has raced for them has managed to score a point at some point this season. We'll see what Joseph can do as he does make his way round turn number 13 onto this incredibly long back straight. If you get within DRS range, if you get a good run on the car in front, chances are you're getting the overtake done, and sometimes deciding not to defend can save you plenty of time. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. That is just one of the Alpines. I believe that'll be Samuel Bayen on a set of the medium tyres. Him and Patrick Sipos both going for those medium tyres. But what can Joseph Lowe do as he heads towards the finish line on the set of softs? Going to be a decent lap time. 1:38.19. Fastest of everyone for the Englishman, for the Haas car. And it is interesting that still at the moment, Race Clutch looking like they're just trying to see what these medium tyres can do. We know it's going to be a close session, but we also know only 2 drivers are going to get knocked out. They could end up looking very silly here.
They could. They've got a little bit in hand. Obviously, 15 points over Visceral at the moment, but you don't want to be playing that kind of game just yet. You've still got 4 rounds to complete yet. You don't want to be kind of chancing. If it was like a 70-point gap, sure. Put on full wet tyres in the burning sun. Be my guest. As we see Patrick Sipos then really pushing it through the final turn. What does he do? A 31.773. Not a bad lap at all on the medium tyres. What about Sam Bean? Where are you? 10 you are at the moment. As Bogdan Moldovan has put his time on the board. Oh, Liam Parnell for his self-named team. 136.56. Now the more representative time. Never mind, Louis Welch for VSR. 130.501. That's a bit more like it. Towards the top end of the tree. The McLaren claiming that top spot. We've got somebody else coming to the line. Tom Roberts for Parnell. That's a 30.5. And that, again, I can't read the times that quick enough. They're changing hands. 130.432. Now the Visceral pair are on the at the top of the tree at the moment. Of course, as a reminder, this is Q1. We are running all 3 quali sessions in this series. Question in chat, where are Tier 10? They both have a quali ban, and that's why they are not out at the moment. So we'll see them when the lobby is rebuilt. They will be starting at the back of the field. Still laps coming in. Say Tom Roberts for Parnell in 3rd. Daniel Quija for WOR in 4th. Good effort for them. WOR have struggled a bit to get some consistent points on the board in this series so far. 136.37. Then that was Liam's time, though, 30.656. That's been pushed already down to 5th place. 9 thousandths of a second separates Gregory Belatti, who was the first person to get a time on the board, and Joseph Loke, who's now back in the pits. Barros is back out there again on another set of soft tyres. People aren't going to be trying to save their tyres too much. As Luke said, the lobby is reset when we get to the end of Quali 3. So as long as you stick to the correct compound of tyres, then, or the correct compound, as in the ones you qualified in Q2 with, then you will be absolutely fine. As I didn't see which one, it was either Dowds or De Juan that Barros has just gone past there as he's working his way through the twisties to get a time on the board. So it's just Samuel Bayen and Enrique Treviano and Alberto Barros yet to show what they're capable of.
Yeah, those really not with much time now. Barros heading out. He's going to have to get a bit of a move on this lap. We'll see whether he bails it or if he is feeling pretty confident, whether he does set this. But this could be maybe his final lap in this session. Might still have time to get one more done after this if he's saved plenty of DRS. He's definitely not saving any now as he makes his way down that long back straight. DRS open on the Williams. 52 points so far this season for Team Addictos. Every single one of them, though, being scored by Lenny Papinta with a win and pole position and a fastest lap. I think it was actually a Grand Slam at the Emilia Romagna race, a win at Silverstone, and then a 10th place at Azerbaijan. They've really struggled with consistency, but Alberto Barros getting himself up towards 10th place at the moment. I'm not sure, looking at how close the times, I'm not sure anyone's going to be feeling too safe out there.
No, I agree there. The McLaren pair possibly, but I think, that no one's going to be too confident just yet. But look at, I love how many, we got 5 drivers in 130.8 kind of territory. So this is what we love to see, isn't it? When we got, truly the greats in F1 esports and the F1 league racing scene all doing battle, and that's reflected in just how close all the lap times are. Vincent Nyquist is back out on track along with Patrick Sipos and Sam Bean. Are the Alpine pair doing a slipstream effect? No, they're not actually. Probably not bothering at this stage. Tom Roberts has parked it. He feels he can do no better than that in the remaining 3 minutes, as has Liam Parnell. So they will not improve from 3rd and 5th respectively. So that's both of the Parnell cars have parked it for the rest of the session. It's... George Nader has parked it. Now, I'm not surprised that he has. I wouldn't be surprised if Louis follows. No, Louis is back out there, actually. So Louis not so confident on sticking with it. Sam Bean has started another lap, so he's just coming through the first sector now. And Treviano is back out on circuit as well. So we'll keep an eye on how they do and who's going to fall victim to the dreaded drop zone.
Yeah, at the moment it is Bayen and Treviano with 2 minutes 20 seconds remaining. The only 2 drivers yet to set a lap time. The Spaniard will definitely, both Spaniards will definitely be hoping to change that here. We're on board with the Alpine. Samuel Bayen driving for Race Clutch. Our championship leaders as Barros retires from the session. I said I didn't think he was going to have enough time to get a lap. He's not going to be sitting pretty on that 130 30.8. There's still 2 drivers yet to set a time. Sipos yet to do a time on a set of the soft tyres. He's probably, realistically, only about a 10th of a second off where the drop zone could be in a few seconds. Bayern looking very quick at the moment. The track still fairly quiet, obviously, with a few drivers parking it in the pit lane. I'll be surprised now if Tom Roberts and Liam Parnell don't get through. It is very rare that Liam Parnell miscalculates everything as we go on board with Bayern, and you can just see the effect of the DRS. The top speed slowly climbing up towards 200 miles per hour, nearly 320 kilometers per hour. He brakes heavily for turn number 14. Turn 15, you don't really bother about. It's more of an extension of 14. Flings the car through the final corner. Bit of a correction. What's it going to be for Samuel Bayern? Gets himself up into 6th place on a 1:30.804. Drake Dempsey's retired from the session as well. Things still extremely close. We've now got 6 cars on a 1:30.8. It's a quarter of a second separating 6th to 15th as things stand.
That's pretty impressive. Here comes Patrick Sipos, new top of the time. I can't say pole time just yet. 1:30.394 for the second of the Race Clutch Alpine. So that puts Arturo de Juan into the drop zone, as Vincent Nyquist has just crossed the line with a 30.916 that the Shazoo Red Bull has managed to do. The Shazoo pair is separated by just 0.003 of a second. I mean, that's consistency for you. Arturo de Juan for FVR Esports in the Alfa Romeo is looking to try and improve. 31.041 his time. If he finds a 10th, he'll get out of the drop zone. But, I mean, considering how many drivers, like you say, Luke, are in a quarter of a second, if he's on for a good improvement, then that will really push him somewhat towards the top of the tree. Enrique Treviano in the 88 Esports Mercedes. What can he do? Checkered flag is now out. So what is he able to do? No time on the board for the Mercedes. That is 7th, 1:30.758. So that pushes his teammate, Moldovan, into the drop zone at the moment. There wasn't another time set there. Who was that? That was... Yes, Menno Nyssen. Yeah, good spot. 1:30.623 for Shazoo. So is Moldovan on a lap? Yes, he is. And Arturo... both of the drop zone drivers are about to complete their laps. What does Bogdan Moldovan do? Louis Welch has parked it. I would imagine he's safe up in 3rd. And that pushes Nyquist into the drop zone. Whoa, good effort there from De Juan. That pushes Moldovan back into the drop zone. He cannot improve. Is Nyquist on a lap? He is, but he's not really pushing. He's already done his lap, I think. Half a second or 0.6 of a second. He's 1st to 17th in this field. So I would imagine that Nyquist is going to bring that one in. Yep, so your eliminated drivers is ETA Esports, Bogdan Moldovan, and Shazoo's Vincent Nyquist.
Yes, so close. Nyquist just didn't find a lot of time on his second lap, his second lap in this session, 1:39.16, and just misses out. Moldovan, likewise, tiny improvement. Thought for a second he might have just done enough to get through, but a fantastic final sector by Arturo de Juan. I think he found about 1.5 tenths in the final sector alone. Knocked Moldovan out, and it is Sipos goes fastest of everyone. Tried that one, obviously, on the medium tyres. Didn't quite work out, but things still looking very close. And next session is going to be the one to watch to see if we do get a few drivers going out on a set of the medium tyres, because I think we will. And it wouldn't surprise me. We've had this situation in other leagues before where the Q2 cut-off time is actually slower than the Q1 just because of how many cars are using mediums.
Yep, absolutely. So there's a reminder of the quality position. So Sipos, quickest of the bunch for Race Clutch. The eliminated drivers, as we said, is Bogdan Moldovan for ET8 and Vincent Nyquist for Shazoo. 15 drivers then moving forward into Q2. These times we get fairly much disregarded at this stage. We all know how this process works by now. 5 more drivers are then going to be eliminated from Q2. And let us do battle again here in Shanghai.
Yeah, it should be a fantastic qualifying session, but I don't think we're even surprised by how close things are now. All the drivers setting those 1:30.8. Disappointing, I think, debut for Nyquist, but as we've said already, starting further back at Shanghai is no problem whatsoever. You can get on a fresh set of tyres. You can try something completely different. We don't know if there's going to be any wet weather in the race, and we might see a lot of drivers trying very different things.
Indeed, indeed. As this 15-minute session now begins, is anybody in a hurry to come out? No. Is an answer to that. No one is heading out. Who's looking at what tyres? No one's going for inters. Oh, someone's broken cover. It's one of the Parnell boys. Which one is it? Is it Dom or is it Liam? Waiting for the board to tell me. It's the captain, Liam Parnell. Straight out on soft tyres, not chancing mediums this time. I'm a little surprised by that. I thought, like you, Luke, I thought people were going to be going out on the mediums first, but actually quite a few cars, all 4 cars that have come out on field, so both the Parnell AlphaTauris and the WOR Astons are all on soft. So Drake Dempsey, Daniel Keja, Liam Parnell and Tom Roberts all on softs. Oh, we've got another out there. Who's that? That's Samuel Bayen. Also, soft tyres. No one giving the mediums a try.
Yeah, this could be interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if we see the F1 League Racing Classic here of slamming the brakes on in the final sector just as you're about to cross the finish line to make sure that you don't set a time. This might almost be one extra lap of practice just to see what they could do on a fresh set of soft tyres. We've already spoken about there is a lobby reset after this, so these tyres will be brand new and magically fresh once more for the race. It is, it's going to be pretty interesting indeed. So, a reminder that it was Moldovan and Nyquist, the 2 drivers who we lost in Q1. They'll be joining Crappy, Donoso and Butcher on 16th to 20th on the grid. We'll lose 5 drivers here, and then we'll have the 12-minute top 10 shootout to decide who gets pole position for the Chinese Grand Prix. I know he's going to lead into that very tricky first corner. But Chris, why don't you take us on board with a lap with Liam Parnell?
Certainly will. Thank you very much. Right, over the line then, wandering over to the left-hand side. He did wander a bit too wide on the exit of the final turn, so hopefully that hasn't scuppered his chances already. Working his way through turns 1, 2, and 3. This never-ending corkscrew that finally relents and it gives way to turn 4. Slow left-hander, then... Oh, the tail just misbehaving itself. I think this lap is already deemed dead, but he will press on anyway. Turn 5, non-existent corner. Then it's 6, down through the grid. You'll see a lot of overtaking opportunities there. Now 7 through to 9. This lovely sweeping, twisty section of Sector 2. All about balance and patience here. We have seen some side-by-sides. I've seen a lot more failed side-by-sides through that particular section. Now turns 9 and 10 onto the short straight leading towards the all-crucial beginning of Sector 3. Turn 11, kiss the apex, keeping nice and steady. Now take press for 12, and then the apex of 13's around here somewhere. There it is, as you're just keeping the car nice and steady, foot nailed to the floor. And this will be where the ERS is nailed. DRS open now. And, well, Liam is still using ERS energy, so maybe this lap will still count. And then the heaviest braking zone in all of F1, down through the gears. Try not to lock up. Quite a few people will inevitably do so. And that's again going to be an overtaking hotspot. Now the final turn. What does Liam do? Run over the curb as much as you dare. Use as much of the AstroTurf as you can. And that was indeed an invalidated lap for Liam Parnell. But we'll see if he can keep the AlphaTauri under control, because there were times when that tail was all over the place.
Yeah, the first 4 cars coming across the line, the Parnells and the WRRs, neither of them have set a valid lap time at the moment. They're all, well, the 2 we've been on board with, I think both Liam and Tom Roberts, both with a 1:31.2 there. They're just, I think they're doing that on purpose, possibly. WR Moon has said it in the chat as well, Paul Echtemeyer. It's a thing to try here. Just invalidate the lap on purpose, and then you can go all out and just see what you can do on a set of the soft tyres. But obviously, you haven't set a lap time, so you can still do a lap on the medium. So this is probably going to be the first valid lap we see in the session from Alberto Barros, the Addictus Racing Team man. Heads his way around the final corner, a lot more careful through there. Comes across the line, a 1:32.440, about 7/10 of a second of what we saw Sipos do in the previous session on a set of the medium tyres. So I think he is going to need to find a bit more time than that if he wants to get into the top 10 on those.
Yeah, it was curious that Barros went for that. We saw Barros more towards the lower end of the qualifying times in Q1, which can't read necessarily too much into the Q1 standings if you make it through to Q2, of course. But I was interested to see that Barros went for the medium tyres so early on. But yeah, that's a fair point. People invalidating their laps just to get a delta, just to get a feel for how the tyres are going to behave, especially as there's going to be a lobby reset before we get to the race itself. So yeah, fair tactic, and quite a few drivers are indeed doing it, just wandering that bit too wide to not give away anything before the all crucial, Banzai lap towards the end of the session, as Mr. Barros has actually got purple sector 1 and 2, but he's got very little fuel left. As he's just coming past Georges Nader in the in the McLaren. He's still using ERS energy, in fairness. He still got his DRS open. Is Alberto going to... Never mind. His teammate has just reclaimed the top spot again on medium tyres, 31.983. A bit closer to what you would expect from real hard push laps on the medium tyres. And Alberto is actually going to complete the lap. So let's see what he gets on the board. 32.0. So he found 3.5 tenths that time around and sits just about a tenth behind his ADRT teammate.
Yeah, I do kind of worry for him, though, because he's going to have to try and get around on a tank of fuel that was already running low. He's going to be crawling back to the pits as Enrique Triviano was fastest of everyone. 1:39.62. Louis Welsh on the pad, of course, the pad goat, as he is famously known. And this track, known for being pretty handy if you're using a controller rather than a wheel. So we'll wait and see what he can do. Backing off towards the end of that lap, so not setting a fast one, a 1:38.389 for him. And it is interesting to see the different tactics we're going for. You've had the Parnell, WOR cars, a few of the others setting invalid laps on the soft tyres. You've had the two ADRTs going straight out there on a lap of the mediums. And then you've had Enrique Treviano just going for a bit of a glory run. And who can blame him? 1:30.962, fastest of everyone by a second at the moment. And who knows, if a lot of drivers are determined to get through to the top 10 on a set of medium tyres and point blank refuse to use for softs, that could be good enough.
Yeah, but that then commits Treviano to a soft start, which is never usually ideal here in Shanghai. But we will see. It's possible that someone can make it work, as Menno Nyssen now starts a push lap on a set of soft tyres. Georges Nader for VSR just coming through turn 14 to complete a lap on the medium tyres. I'm expecting a low 31s towards the tail end of the session on the mediums, and that's a 31.4, so right in the middle. That's a good lap from Georges Nader. I always... It's not that I forget that Louis Welch is a pad driver. I mean, he is, of course, known as the pad goat, but I'm just... Mind boggles how he's so competitive against those with a wheel, but it bolsters the point you don't have to have the latest and greatest equipment. Does it help? Of course it does, as he puts a 31.3 on the board on the medium tyres in the McLaren. Yes, the good equipment does help, but it's not the be-all and end-all. You can still be, if you're determined enough, you can still be very, very competitive on a control pad.
Yeah, buy me a Fanatec, I'm not beating Jarno Opmeer all of a sudden. It's a lot more behind who's behind the wheel, who's on the pad, rather than the equipment you are using. Menno Nyssen sets a lap then on the set of the soft tyres, 1:31.060, and there's 2 laps by the McLarens, Welsh and Nader, both faster than what we saw Sipos do earlier on. So definitely very competitive push laps from the pair of them, and we are now seeing, as you can see on the left-hand side, it's a bit more of a mixture of the yellow and red compared to what we had earlier on, almost looking like a set of traffic lights. At the moment, who else have we got on a lap going for their first runs on sets of mediums? Drake Dempsey heading around for WOR, now in the Aston Martin. Of course, they did have their first race last time out in Aston Martin, and I know a few people were wondering why they swapped with TF10. We've now had it officially confirmed, of course, that Fabrizio Donoso will be racing for Ferrari Esports in the upcoming esports season, hence why TF10 have swapped from the Astons. 9 and 10, the American driver just making his way round now. He's got a bit of traffic ahead of him that will get well out of the way. Treviano, Nyssen, Welsh, Nader, Balletti and Barros, the only drivers to have set a time with 5.5 minutes remaining, and we're still really no closer to knowing what is going to happen in this session. How many drivers are going to go for a set of the soft tyres towards the end? How many more are going to go for mediums? As Liam Parnell goes into 5th place on a 1:31.611. I feel like Treviano and Nyssen might just be safe on those times.
Possible. Like you said before, it's not impossible for the Q2 cutoff time to be slower than the Q1 cutoff time. Let's see what Drake Dempsey in the Aston Martin gets on the board for WOR. DRS open towards the line. That is a 1:31.726, just 300ths of a second ahead of Tom Roberts. What about his teammates? Daniel Kieser, 31. So, oh my goodness, as they nearly come together coming into turn one. I think Drake was waiting for Daniel there. They could be trying a slipstream maneuver. But we'll see if that is the case. So this will be a recharge lap. Then they might actually try and tow one another along the back straight. If they're going to do that, they can only do it once. They've only got enough time. Actually, no, they don't. They haven't got the fuel. So never mind about that. Or Drake certainly has a bit more fuel on than Daniel does. So we'll see if that... we'll see how that influences what they're going to do. Joseph Loke is heading down towards turn 14 to start a time lap again on the medium tires. Sipos is out there on a set of softs. So he's getting to a point now where he's going to have to ignore that runoff area on the outside of turn 16 to keep everything nice and steady. But everyone that is going for a time lap looks like they are sticking with the medium tires. So yeah, the only two that have set a time on the softs is still Treviano and Nyssen. So that may well get them through to Q3, but is it going to be an advantage? That's going to be the golden question. Because I've got a feeling they may well struggle then, because everyone's going to be setting their golden laps on soft tyres in Q3 that they're of course not using in the race. Is that going to be an advantage that forces them onto the softer tyres? I mean, we will see, but I reckon there's going to be a disadvantage for them.
You can make a one-stop work, soft to medium. You've got to be very gentle on your soft tyres at the start of the race, and then very gentle on your mediums as well. And sometimes there's not much to gain versus that and doing a two-stop. Medium to soft does work better, but again, as Joseph Loke, his car looks an absolute handful coming through turn 10.
I saw that.
Like all over the place. Plenty of opposite lock on the car, trying to grip at different points. Again, coming through turn number 12 and 13, the rears on that. Look at how he's got a lock differential, some sort of drifting setup on that car. Really not ideal. Going back to my point, you can make the one-stop work around here. I think starting with a set of soft tyres, though, it is going to be a tough one. So you might even think about, you know what, I'll have a bit of fun here. Go for a set of soft, medium, soft tyres and be quick towards the end of the race. And this is all assuming there's no safety car. If there is a safety car, then who knows, maybe starting on a set of the soft tyres might be the best thing to do. Joseph Loke heads towards the finish line, 1:31.873. That puts him on the bubble for now. I think he's going to need to find a bit more. And this is very intriguing. Patrick Sipos, for Race Clutch, has gone out there on a set of the soft tyres. Race Clutch trying something different here.
Yeah. He won't have time to do two push laps. Fastest sector one is not a surprise. No disrespect to Enrique Treviano or Menno Nyssen. I mean, all drivers taking part in this series have been absolutely blinding as Tom Roberts has parked his car in 8th place. Ooh, that's risky. And look at the amount of outlaps now on soft tyres from 2nd to 7th, all on softs, as well as Sam Payen. So many people are coming out on soft tyres. Okay, I give up on tyre predictions. I have absolutely no idea what they're aiming for at this point. That's really backwards to what we usually see. So, okay, I happily accept that I usually get tyre predictions wrong, but I wonder if everybody's following Patrick Sipos' example.
I think they might just be out there on a set of soft tyres just in case here. Just in case there's a glut of improvements. So Sipos goes fastest by 7/10 of a second. That is roughly what we expected. I think from that, we can safely say we might get a 1:29 in the final session. I know drivers have got close while they've been practicing. Yeah, I think they are just at the moment, just relaxing, just taking it nice and easy. Cameron Downs is not going to set a lap time at all because he is still in the pit. I think everyone... It's a game of chicken at the moment with the tyres. If a lot of drivers start setting laps on those softs, then you're going to have to go out there and do a lap on the set of soft tyres. Joseph Loke was unable to improve, so he's going to be going out. Cameron Dowds is going to be going out. I think the VSR drivers might be safe here on their medium runs, but it is going to be touch and go. Belatti now gets himself up to 2nd place. This has changed completely. this session to what we were expecting. Everyone I think is going to have to go for it and then make a big risk on the final corner. Do you slam the brakes on and hope you make it through? Or do you just carry on but accept you'll be on the worst strategy? Checkered flag is out.
Checkered flag is indeed out. So Sipos, top of the tree. He's not likely to be dethroned from that. Half a second ahead of Belatti right now. So he's not under any immediate pressure. Next down the road is Arturo de Juan, yet to set a time, and he's on the medium tyres. There's a lot of pressure on him at the moment. So let's see if he is able to get into the top 10 on the medium tyres. Now, bearing in mind that everyone set their time on the medium tyres except for the top 4. So it is certainly doable. What can the FER Esports driver do? Coming into turn 14 now, as Nyquist has parked it. He's actually left the session, but he was actually out in Q1. Can Arturo de Juan get into the top 10? No. It's a pretty rough lap for him, a 33.3. Guarantees him and Cameron Dow. So both the FER drivers are out of this session. What can De Barros do? Belatti up to second, I think that was. Oh no, it's Samuel Bayen. It was in third. Drake Dempsey is now up into second position. Alberto Barros has invalidated his lap, so he cannot do any more. Tom Roberts already pushed down and out, and Liam Parnell has already completed his lap. So the bottom 5 has been found. Both the Parnell cars, both the FBR cars, and Alberto Barros of ADRC, who invalidated his lap, nearly bangs it into the wall, Lewis Hamilton style, at the pit entry. And so there we go. That was a bit of a scramble towards the end. If Barros hadn't invalidated that lap, he could well have pushed Daniel Kija out of the top 10. But as it stands, it's Liam Parnell, Tom Roberts, Alberto Barros, Alberto Juan, and Cameron Dowds that will not be seeing Q3.
And fair play to Joseph Lowe. That was his third lap on the set of the medium tyres, where he found enough time to get through inside the top 10. So very well played from him. And it was that lap which knocked Liam Parnell out by 5 thousandths of a second. So close, as we expected things to be. But we do now know the identity of the drivers, and that will be in the top 10. And we know which 5 will not be taking any further part in this qualifying session. Sipos was fastest in that qualifying, Dempsey second, Bayen third, and Loke, Welsh, Nadir, and Kija all on a set of the medium tyres. So they are going to be the ones to watch out for. And the drivers who failed to make it through, Liam Parnell and Tom Roberts for Parnell, the Addictos car of Alberto Barras, and both the FER cars of Arturo de Juan and Cameron Dowd, who unfortunately disconnected from the session. Very intriguing that both race clutch cars decided to go for the set of soft tyres. Wouldn't have surprised me if we saw one on the softs, one on the mediums, but no team really looking to split the strategies there.
No, indeed. And the Parnell cars, both 11th and 12th, have seen, well, I think we've all seen it before, where people aim for that 11th spot, so they get free choice of tyres. Is that going to prove advantageous for them here in Shanghai? Well, it's not a bad place to do it. If a lot of people have struggled to make those strategies work at more difficult tracks to overtake on. But Shanghai, you've got definitive overtaking spots. So it's not a bad place to do it. As Joseph Loke, the remaining Haas for PSR, is straight out on there. He's not wasting any time on the soft tyres. I can't imagine anyone's really going to run anything else unless they run out of soft tyres in this session. Menno Nyssen also quick to get back out on track, along with Gregory Belatti, and also Drake Dempsey is quick to get out there for a few more laps. So still times to set, but who is going to be top of the tree? Make your predictions in chat. Let's see who is going to get this one right.
Yeah, let's see indeed. Now, these first laps could be quite mixed up. I feel a lot of cars, especially those that did their fastest laps in the last session on a set of the soft tyres, are going to have to use possibly that same set of soft tyres for their first run. So the final 5 minutes, not to undersell these first times, who knows? They could be absolutely fantastic, and someone could go fastest straight away and be unbeatable. Wouldn't surprise me, though, if things really do heat up towards the end. We've got Bayen, Treviano, Nadir, and Sipos sitting in the pit lane. We might also see some drivers decide to only go for one lap in the middle, a bit like what we see in real life quite often, where they just try to get a bit of free air, not necessarily have the best track conditions, but know that they're not going to get themselves interfered too much. Fair play to, we've not mentioned this so far, but fair play to WOR. Both drivers getting themselves into top 10. One of those on a set of the mediums. The team at the bottom of the championship have got a great chance to bump themselves up perhaps tonight and possibly get their best result of the season.
Great stuff if they manage it. Joseph Loke then first to start a lap in this Q3 session on the soft tyres, screaming down towards turn 1. Now, we've seen that car get very, very squiggly at various times of the qualifying sessions. Is it a bit more settled on the softer tyres? Menno Nyssen now starting his lap along with Drake Dempsey. Behind that again on the exit of turn 4. That car still not particularly settled. Still want to try and break away from Loke as they're now heading down towards turn 6 and through into sector 2. Now, does the car remain settled? It's not looked too bad to the highest we want. It seems to be traction on corner exit where this car has gotten very, very lively, which is not ideal, especially through that dreaded last turn here at Shanghai. But through turns 9 and 10 for Joseph Loke now, the car seems to have behaved itself through the rest of the lap into 11 and 12 now. Oh, just as I say that, had to turn right to counter steer a slide as everybody is now out on track. Onto the long back straight then for Joseph Loke. No one to give him any slipstream. I would imagine there aren't going to be too many. We haven't really seen that at all, have we? Anyone trying to give their teammate a bit of a slipstream down that long back straight. And back heavy on the brakes for Joseph Loke. Sad bit deep, didn't hit the apex quite right. Coming into turn 14, easy for me to say. I sure as hell can't do it whatsoever. Big jump over the apex, but keeps it legal. What's the time on the board? A 30.4. Now that's a good time. Well played from Joseph Loke. Bearing in mind that the top time from Patrick Zippos last time with a 30.2. That's a cracker.
Yeah, I think any time he lost at the apex of turn number 14, he regained with that bravery through turn number 16, really smashing into the curb, but got away with it. You could argue that was the perfect line. I think you could also argue that he might not be able to replicate that no matter how many times he tries. Absolutely nailed it as Daniel Kija just locks up and manages to make the apex of turn number 14. That unloaded inside right tyre. You'll be seeing plenty of drivers do that throughout the 28 laps of the race and also throughout this qualifying session. Kija heads towards the line, 103.313. He goes fastest of everyone for now. We've got one of the VSR cars about to come up. Ahead of him is a race clutch driver. That is Samuel Bayen just starting his flying lap. What can Louis Welsh do? Can he get into the 29s? He can't. But it's the fastest time we've seen all evening. 130.178 for Welsh. Puts him on provisional pole position.
His teammate George Nader coming down towards turn 14 now. The McLaren being chased by the remaining Mercedes. Enrique Treviano just coming into the same turn as well. What can Georges do? Sweeps through turn 16. Uses as much as the outside rear as he dares. That's a 30.341. Slots the second VSR McLaren into third position as Treviano comes back into the pits. Where is Sipos? He is coming towards turn 11 at the moment, but he's set in purple sectors, so keep an eye on the Alpine. We'll see what he is able to do. Who's next coming over the lines? Nyssen? Yes, it is. He's into the pits. He's already set his time. Next up is his teammate, is it? No. Several people coming back to the pits. So these were the early starters. So Belatti is coming in along with that's Dempsey that's just coming into the pits as well. Daniel Kija is just coming towards the pit lane entry himself. Is that Bayen right behind him? Nope. That's actually interesting. Is that Belatti setting another lap? Oh, Sipos up into second then, just 9 thousandths behind Louis Welch. Again, a storming time. I mean, these guys set in the wet, whatever, what I could only ever hope to set in the dry. So, yeah, these guys are amongst the very best in the field. But at the moment, it's advantage VSR.
Yeah, it is. Louis Welsh, fastest of everyone. Then Sipos and Bayen, second and fourth. Great job from them. Kija separating the two Alpines in third, and Georges Nader rounding out those top 5. A few drivers further down. I think, like we said, maybe Nyssen and Belatti have both gone out on a set of older soft tyres there, and we'll see a bit more from them later on. And Treviano, we're yet to see any lap for. And now it's just for calm before the storm. Louis Welsh is still fastest. Sipos in that second. Is Sipos and Bayen the only two out there on circuit? I think we could have a bit of calm before everyone decides to dive out there for one final lap. So close at the top of the order. 9 thousandths of a second. I don't think the human mind can barely comprehend how close that is. Can only be a few centimetres, I imagine, different when you cross the line between them. We have seen times be tied before, and I think in the background the game times to 10 thousandths of a second, which is why sometimes even if you set the time later, you can jump up to the fastest if you do tie with everyone else. It is all going to be about those final runs. Can anyone find enough of a time to beat Lewis Welch? Can anyone get into the 130.0s? Could we possibly even see a 29, or is that just asking a bit too much from these drivers?
I personally would think that's probably a step too far, but 30.0 I reckon is on the cards. 29, we will see. Yeah, so we're now very much into, like you say, the calm before the storm. I think, yes, I thought somebody was just coming out onto track then, but oh no, somebody has. Somebody has broken cover. We're heading towards the final 3 minutes of the session is always what I call the Banzai phase. It's Gregory Belatti that has come back out onto circuit. Out comes Treviano as well. I imagine there's a bit of pressure for him to try and improve. Of course, having invalidated the only runs he's done in this session so far, we'll see if he is able to do so as the Mercedes then gets back out onto circuit. Who is next to get out there? It really depends if anyone's going to try and pull their teammate along. If they're going to do it, they need to get out there and get on with it to try and give both cars an opportunity to do it. We'll see if that's going to happen. Third car's just gone out. That's Joseph Loke. He's got no teammate to slipstream off of. And the slipstream is really, really, really powerful along that big back straight. So it's worth trying if you think you can pull it off. It's a very difficult maneuver to get right because it's very easy to slam into the car that you are chasing. One of the McLarens is now coming out as well, along with one of the race clutch cars. Who's coming out? Is it Bayan or Sipos? It's Sipos. So no one's sitting on their laurels, which is good to see. Nader has gone out on field as well. So half the field out, half the field poised, ready to go.
Yeah, I think everyone, just realised that it's not worth the risk, just in case you get it wrong with the slipstream, just in case you make any slight mistakes. It can very easily ruin your own lap. Everyone just now thinking about what they can do. A lot of drivers going out earlier, maybe just in case they do get an invalidation. It does always give you that possibility to get a second one in, and unlike one-shot qualifying, they've already set for what tyres these drivers are going to be on. But Gregory Belatti just about to start his lap. 131.146 for the Williams driver at the moment as he makes his way around this long turn number 1. Be very careful not to go too deep there. You can easily find yourself heading off towards the grass, towards the gravel. And who knows, maybe if there's a bit of rain in the race and you understeer too much, could even find the barrier. Nice and tidy though so far through Belatti, through turn number 5 again. Not too much of a corner with Louis Welch getting just out the way. And he's already 1 and a bit tenths of a second up. So finding some time on this lap. Doesn't need too much to get himself ahead of Nyssen. He needs to find about 6 tenths of a second if he's to get up there with the rest of the pack. Flinging that Williams round turn number 7 and 8. Keeping tight to be inside of turn 8 to give you that best possible line through 9 and 10. Again, a car ahead of him, just making sure to get out of the way. I'm sure on this straight will one of the McLarens, that'll be the other visceral car of the day, into turn number 11 and 12. And then, of course, for the long turn number 13, slightly banked, does make it a bit easier on the cars. It's easily flat in this condition in qualifying. Worn tyres in the race, and maybe if they've got heavy fuel on as well, might just be a bit more tricky. Down the long back straight, we'll see what speed he gets up to. I think, again, all similar setups here. Does just get himself towards the 200 mile per hour mark. Oh, actually, Enrique Treviano has crashed out on the exit of turn 10. We'll follow Belatti around and then just see if we can clip onto that car to possibly see what has happened. Belatti comes across the line, does shoot himself up towards 8th place. And yeah, I think he must have just got it wrong on the exit of turn number 10 and has managed to wipe off that rear right tyre. So Treviano will be starting in last place and has failed to set a time. He'll be disappointed after getting into the top 10 on those tyres and starting on the softs. It might be tough to even manage to get some points from there.
Indeed, yeah. Just drops it on the exit of turn 10. The rear's having none of that. Just spat him into the inside wall. And that was all she wrote for Enrique Treviano. So the ET8 Mercedes starting in 10th position. Cars crossing the line to complete their laps. And, Joseph Loke invalidated the lap. right at the end. So no improvement for the Haas. The PSR car will start no higher than 6th position. Who else has completed the laps? Giorgio Belatti. Gregory Belatti, rather, 130.665, sees him in 8th position at the moment. What about the Keja? Yeah, checkered flag is now out. No, it wasn't Keja, it was Dempsey that's right behind him. Sipos cannot do any more, so his qualifying session is complete. He remains in 2nd position behind the pad genius of Louis Welch. Both McLarens pressing on then. Georges Nader will be next across the line. What can he do? 5th position at the moment. Bit of a lockup then coming into turn 14. 130.341. He's only, 2 thousandths behind Samuel Bayen. Kisses the apex coming through turn 16. Straight lines and it's top spot to 30.092 for Georges Nader, his teammate chasing him over the line. Oh, we've seen it. There it is. A 29. Oh, me of little faith. 129.908. VSR have the front row at the moment. Can anybody overhaul that? Daniel Keja up into 3rd. A great lap there. 130.097. 5 thousandths behind Nader. Great effort there. Can Samuel Bayen do anything about it? Coming into the last corner. Actually, is Dempsey ahead of him? No, Dempsey's behind him. Another car coming over the line. That's Menno Nyssen, 130.421 for him. What can Samuel Bayen do? Can the Spaniard climb higher than 5th? 130.329. Does he improve? He does. Up into 4th, 2 thousandths ahead of Sipos. Race. Oh, never mind. Drake Dempsey, a 30.170. Great effort there. So the only one still out there is Joseph Blake. His lap is invalidated anyway. Wow. 2x2 for the front 3 rows. VSR follows WOR. What a great opportunity for WOR to score some really needed points in this series. And then it's Race Clutch, our championship leaders, 5th and 6th.
Yeah, don't think we quite expected that one. I did see Sipos invalidated his lap. Joseph Loke as well, invalidated through the final corners. That lap would have been good enough for 4th place. What he managed,
wow.
Fine margins as always in motivating. But it's Lewis, well, fastest of everyone, 129.908. I was also of little faith, Chris. I didn't think we'd manage to get a driver in the 129s. But Welsh, the wonder kid, has managed it. Goes fastest of everyone. And the top 3 in this race, I believe, are going to be starting on a set of the medium tyres as well. Drake Dempsey, I think, managed to get through in Q2 on a set of the softs. And he's going to be starting in 4th place. So for Race Clutch, they're not even the lead cars that are going to be starting on the softs. They're going to be rapid at the start. They might pay for that a bit later on. We'll have to wait and see.
That's it, isn't it? Is now the strategy call starts to come into play. Ooh, yeah, looking forward to this. I always look forward to a race. That's a broken record statement for me, and I don't apologize for making it. I absolutely love talking about these guys. They, like I said earlier, they never fail to entertain us. But then that is how the top 10 will start. VSR on the front row, both McLarens, Louis Welch and Georges Nader. Then it's WOR on row 2, Race Clutch row 3, PSR and the lead Shazoo driver on row 4, and ADRT and the lead ET8 car row 5. Yes, let's have some of this. What a great race we're going to be treated to. So it is going to be a lobby restart just to make sure everything is all hunky-dory. The grid will, of course, be rebuilt. Everyone that got through to Q3 will start on the Q2 tyre compound. We know this process by now. And then it is on to the race grid.
Yeah, should absolutely be a fantastic race. The lobby will be being set, as Chris has said. We'll be taking a very short break just to show you a message from our sponsors, GT Omega, and then we'll debrief the rest of qualifying. See you all in a moment. Yes, and absolutely, as we saw, barnstorming end to that qualifying session there. So a superb time from Lewis Wells, getting fastest of everyone to get that pole position. Georges Dadair in second place, and it will be Daniel Kieger starting in third. And Chris, we were just discussing during that break, we didn't think we were going to see a time like that. Lewis managing to do it, starting on pole position on a set of the medium tyres. He's going to be tough to beat.
You couldn't ask for better, could you, here at Shanghai? But how many times have we seen, amazing qualifying positions come to nothing into that dreaded turn one? It's not desperately bad at Shanghai. There are certainly worse, but you do still hit it at a very, very big rate of knots. As hopefully we get all 20 drivers in, and just keeping an eye on the lobby at the moment. I can see certainly. I can see Fab Donoso is in there, so does look like we're having some drivers that we didn't see in qualifying. Again, as a reminder, the Tier 10 guys were not in qualifying. They had a qualifying ban to serve. Yes, Fab Donoso's recent signing to Ferrari necessitated the change of car for them. It's 18 in the lobby now, so yeah, I mean, you can't really discount the likes of Fab Donoso, Alfie Butcher as well, recent winner in PSGL F2. He's another young gun that is going to be really, really interesting to see. They, of course, start from the back of the field. They don't have weather to worry about. It is going to be dry. Shanghai in the wet must be absolutely torturous more than anything else, because it's a hard enough track in the dry. But we will see. Get your predictions in chat. Who are you shouting for? Who is going to be taking top honours? It's advantage McLaren at the moment, but let's see if they can bring that one home.
Yeah, we will have to see. And of course, they've got fast cars behind them. We said Kieger only 5 thousandths off getting WOR's best qualifying position of the season. And then also further back, Drake Dempsey starting in 4th, Bayen and Sipos 5th and 6th, with race clutch drivers on the soft tyres. They've got to be fantastic at the start of the race. They need to get the lead and just try to use those soft tyres and then hope things work out pretty nicely in the pit stops. I think they'd have wanted and probably expected more drivers to go out on those set of soft tyres, and who knows, 1 or 2 less drivers invalidated. Maybe if Cameron hadn't have disconnected from the session, that would have forced the hand of more drivers, and we would have seen more going out on the set of softs. I wouldn't count them out yet, because we've already said, Shanghai, you never know what could happen into turn 1.
Yeah, that is exactly it. And just the nature of that turn 1, 2, 3, feels like it never ends. That long, beyond 180-degree turn complex you've got. Even if you get turn 1 right, it's very easy for then, if someone at the front of the train makes a mistake, it concertinas the rest of the field. It can have very, very disastrous consequences of everybody chasing. All 20 drivers are in now. I've just been keeping an eye on the driver count, so we will be getting this underway. If you can't tell, I'm very excited. And again, I make no apology for making that statement yet again. The qualifying itself is exciting enough, and the race is going to be absolutely brilliant. Really, really looking forward to this. But WOR bringing in, that's got to be the biggest talking point, starting on the second row with two drivers we haven't seen from WOR, and they've struggled thus far to get regular points on the board, and they're starting right towards the sharper end. A brilliant effort.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for lack of trying. They've had some fantastic drivers this season. I mean, Primoz Miklavčić, of course, did quite well in the PC Challenger side of things. I think just missing out in the end on getting to the Pro Exhibition. But for one reason or another, I know they've had, again, a few qualifying bans. They started off well in France last week and then just faded towards the end of the race. It hasn't worked for them, but starting in 3rd and 4th on a split strategy as well, I believe. So that can have its own advantage. You've always got one, you've always got one horse in the race just in case there are any issues. Should be a brilliant job for them. How did TF10 approach things in this race? They're going to be starting from the back of the grid, 3rd in the championship at the moment. On one hand, you might think they need to be a bit careful. There's going to be some incidents. They've got a chance to pick up some points. The other, the flip side of it is they're down at the back. They've not really got a lot to lose in this race. And we've seen already, Donoso and Butcher, 2 very quick drivers. We know that from Donoso, race winner in esports. And Butcher's been quicker than him on quite a few occasions so far this season, so he's also going to be determined. Surely they've just got to throw caution to the wind and go for this.
There's two different ways of looking at that. You could either just, strap on a set of softs and just gun it and hope. I would imagine they're going to go for the more sensible option of going for the mediums and sticking with the usual strategy you see with those at the back. Yeah, Fab Denoso, he's been in F1 Esports for as long as it's existed. He was right there at the very first Championship Series over in Abu Dhabi, standing on the podium with Brendan Lee, winning a race indeed in that series, I remember. But yeah, Alfie Butcher, in the two races Alfie has done, he won 2 races ago, and he was on the podium in France. It's Struth alive. That is an upcoming talent. He joined PSGL a little bit later in the season. I saw him fly through and grab a win as well. So, yeah, very, very much a driver of the future is Alfie. But they're going to need all of that talent and expertise to get them through. And Tier 10 aren't short of talent either. We've seen Oscar Villacampa, Marcus Short, who I think is the third driver for them in this race. Dario Emulo and Nika Baena have been part of their squad, although we've only seen them once, sadly. But, they scored points earlier in the season. Again, on paper, you would expect it to still be Race Clutch, but the qualifying really didn't go their way. And they're up against some brilliant, brilliant drivers. So if I was to do anything else, or if I was to bet on somebody... Oh, I mean, you always want to do the bet after lap 1, but I'm going to put it out there. I reckon Race Clutch are going to come through on this one. So I'm looking at the Alpines. Probably Sipos. Again, he's been on the podium twice so far, but then Luke Smith, one last time out in France. I'm going to go Sipos. Just put a name out there. Put a name to who I think is going to be on the top spot. I'm going to go Patrick Sipos.
Interesting. I think judging by that qualifying session, you'd be a brave man to bet against VSR, and I might be a brave man. I'm just going to go all out there. I think Hija could just surprise us from third place. WOR, we said, have yet to get a top 5 this season. Never mind getting a podium. Who knows? Tonight could just be the race where they do that. All the drivers are in the session. The grid is pretty much getting ready, so it shouldn't be too far before we get away. And we can tell you it's going to be bright sunshine. That's one less thing for the drivers to worry about. So I'm sure they'll all be delighted about that fact. I'm sure, of course, if we were going to get any rain, no one would have tried to go through the top 10 on the medium tyres, and we would have had a very different grid indeed. The grid is 2x2 towards the front, so we might get some teamwork. We might see a lot of drivers losing out just because of how powerful the undercut is around here as well. Someone from each team, unfortunately, whoever the car behind is, could easily lose 3 or 4 seconds during the pit stop period.
Well, there's a vote on the YouTube chat at the moment on who is going to score more points, VSR, WOR, or Race Clutch, or someone else. Race Clutch are the losing party in that particular vote. It's all more eyes on VSR at the moment, and yeah, as you say, Luke, they have got the advantage starting from the front row. So I wouldn't be at all disappointed if that was the case. Just I do like to throw a spanner in the works and go against the grain as far as the betting is concerned. Although very few people, I might be the only person that voted for Race Clutch, and I'll take that. But VSR stands still with the popular public vote, 39% at the moment. 18 votes has been cast on that one. So yeah, VSR with the public vote, but WOR and someone else, of course, that could be anybody. We will see. Very much looking forward to how this plays out. And away we go then on the rolling lap. We'll see how this goes down.
Yeah, we will see how this goes down around the Shanghai International Circuit. First used in 2004. 5.451 kilometres, 3.387 miles with the 2 DRS zones. And it is that one down towards turn number 14 where you'll see plenty of action. But of course you can also fight into turn 1. As we take a look at the tyres, everyone has gone for. We normally see a pretty universal outside the top 10. None of that this time. 5 drivers on the mediums, 5 drivers on the hards, including both of the Parnell cars. So Liam Parnell starting in 11th, the lead car, who, had a completely free choice of tyres. Interestingly going for the hards. Interesting that his teammate has as well. Again, I thought some of those outside the top 10, especially where you had both cars, would possibly go for a split on the strategy, but both Parnells have gone for hards, both TF10s going for hards, and both FVRs going for mediums. They'll also be looking to make some moves in the first couple of laps.
Ooh, this is going to be interesting. The WOR team is split, with Keisha on mediums and Dempsey on softs. So that's, that should, in a way, kind of make the pit stops a little bit less complicated. Of course, both drivers, if they're on the same compound, will want to pit at exactly the same time. So that's going to cause a bit of a headache come pit stop time. But, we'll see as they come down the long back straight, then weaving away, getting heat into their tyres. We all know this process by now. Last chance to change the bet. Now I'm going to stick with Sipos. Why not? For all I know, he's dead into turn one. Now, if he is dead into turn one, that is 100% my fault. I will take that commentator's curse count straight away. But, yeah, it's the public vote has gone for VSR, or last I saw. Just have a quick look. What is it now? Still with VSR. 38% of the vote is with them. Someone else has got 31% of the vote. So curious to see, curious to know what people think outside of the vote options. But as for now, we're lining up with the grid. Luke, take this one away.
Yes, I imagine quite a big chunk of that will be people thinking TF10 might be able to do something from down in 17th and 18th, manages to start down towards the back of the grid. But it is a VSR 1-2. Can they retake the championship lead off Race Clutch? All the drivers in their grid slots, and we wait for the lights to come on. We've got 5 lights here at Shanghai. They go out, and the Chinese Grand Prix is underway. A pretty decent start there by Lewis Welsh. I think George Nader might be able to have a bit of a go into turn number 1, but no, diligently stays behind his teammate. It is Welsh, Nadir, Dempsey, using those soft tyres to perfection at the first part of this race, as he's going to try and go round the outside of Nadir into turn number 4 here, and this one could just work. A bit of wheel spin from the McLaren driver. That is Dempsey up into second place. Bayane's had a fantastic start as well. He's going side by side with Keisha in towards turn number 7, and it is going to be Bayane who gets that move done, but Welsh leading, Dempsey in second, Nadir, Bayane, Keisha, your top 5 at the moment. Alfie Butcher having a decent battle in the background as well with Cameron Dowds. Need to be very careful about going side by side, as Chris said, through this part of the circuit. It's been an ideal start for Drake Dempsey, doing exactly what he needed to do on those soft tyres. His teammate just struggling a bit on the mediums.
It was a dive of the gods by Enrique Treviano up into 8th position. I think he managed to gain one, or certainly one, but he might have actually gained both of his overtakes into turn 6. It looked like it was a surefire accident. Here comes Dempsey then, slipstreaming the back of Louis Welch. I think Louis knows he cannot defend that. Soft shod Aston Martin now coming through as Samuel Bayane now trying to get alongside George's Nader. George had to go deep and he's let the Alpine go. Again, he knows he can't realistically defend against the soft shod cars at this point. Dempsey now leads, Welch second, Bayane third, Nader fourth, Sipos in 5th position. It was a pretty bad start from Donoso on those hard tyres, really struggled to get off the line, but Butcher up into 15th. From starting in, which one was he? He was 17th position now. So the hard tyres working well for him at the moment. Nailed to the back of Alberto Barros. The rest of the field, it looks like everybody has survived the first lap. But Dempsey, what a start for WOR.
Yeah, doing exactly what he needs to do, as now Sipos has gone down the inside of Georges Nadir. Despite having a great start, he decided not to battle Louis Welsh, and he's really cost himself there. So that is Sipos now up in towards 4th place. It's been ideal for those on the soft tyres. They're making the moves, and they're making them fairly cleanly as well. Further back, Donoso, one of the most experienced driver in the field, battling with Vincent Nyquist, who just goes into the back of the Ferrari driver. I think gets away without any damage, but that is now Nyquist back down towards last place, and Donoso in 18th, unable to make the moves at the moment. We'll get the position changes up for you on screen now. Unsurprisingly, Dempsey the biggest winner. Nadir and Keisha losing a lot of places, and Liam Parnell staying 11th on that set of the hard tyres. Might be one to watch out for later on in the race, although as I say, he stayed in 11th. You're just about to see an Alfa Romeo of Arturo Duan manage to make that move down towards turn number 14, the hairpin. They'll have DRS next time around. So I think there was a bit of contact there between Duan and Parnell. They will have DRS next time around going into that hairpin. And at the moment, every single car, apart from Drake Dempsey, will see for DRS as that fastest lap just tumbles down the order. Sipos with the fastest lap of the race. A reminder, same points rules as Formula 1. Top 10 get points. You also get a point for the fastest lap if you are within the top 10. The softs, obviously, holding on a lap or two longer than what we'd sometimes see in league racing, just because everyone has had a fresh choice of tyres. I imagine by lap 4 or lap 5, the mediums are going to be the tyres you want to be on.
Roundabout there is when the mediums will really come into their own. Dempsey will certainly feel the pressure. He's got himself half a second gap over Louis Welch at the moment. And Louis does not have George on his tail as a rear gunner. He's got Samuel Bean, the Spaniard, right there ready to go to challenge, and I reckon he will. I don't think the Alpine is going to want to stay there. Sometimes you see, drivers just staying in the tyre tracks of those ahead of them, getting a bit of slipstream, save a bit of fuel, save a bit of tyres. I don't think the soft starters are going to do that. Patrick Sipos is almost out of DRS range to the top 3, so he's got to be very careful. He's indeed over 1 second at this point. Was he within a second at the detection point? I think he was. No, he's just about. Yes, he just about had it. He was only just hanging on to that all crucial DRS range during the detection point. Is Welch going to go for it? No. Louis Welch has got time on his side, I reckon. He's not going to try and banzai Drake Dempsey. Drake is going to want to try and break away from the pack. Louis Welch can just run through the miles at the moment. Alfie Butcher's gained another position in the Ferrari. Our lead hard starter, Liam Parnell, still just about hanging on to DRS range to the back of Arturo Duan, but that could possibly undo itself in the tail end of the race, tail end of the lap, beg your pardon. We will see, but still, so far so good from the entire field.
Yeah, it's been a very clean start. I think what you'd expect with drivers of this calibre. Hopefully that means things might be a bit quieter in the steward's office. I'm sure anyone who's been in the TGC Discord or anyone who's been on Twitter has seen that there's sometimes been quite a few decisions for the stewards to make. But it is still Dempsey leading this race, and you can see the queue of cars behind him at the moment. Welsh, Bayen, Sipos, Nadir, Kuija, Nissan, Treviano, Loke, Belatti, your top 10 as things stand. And then De Juan, Parnell, Roberts, Butcher, Barros, Dowds, Moldovan, Donoso, Karapi and Nyquist, the rest of the 20 runners still in this race. When will Louis Welch decide to go for the move? Interestingly, Dempsey's in the lead here. He's got plenty of ERS at the moment, looking like he's not too bothered about pulling away. Whether this is a tactic to just try to save these tyres, just to get them to stretch an extra lap or so, we'll have to wait and see. Uses a bit there. And you'll now see Welsh closing his way in down towards the hairpin. Is he going to go for it on this lap? He pulls out the slipstream. Definitely thinks about it. And there we go. Down the inside goes Louis Welch. Takes the leader of this race. Will he now be able to pull away on those mediums?
Well, there went my prediction of Louis Welch just staying there. Maybe he felt that Dempsey was holding him up a bit. Yeah, fairly clean, straightforward move. And Louis Welch staying to the inside line, coming down towards turn 1, not wanting to give the advantage back to Dempsey. Now, I thought Dempsey would defend that a little bit harder because the move was made towards the end of the back straight, but again, it's so difficult to defend along a straight that's that long. So Dempsey may well just concede defeat. Thought I'll have you later in the lap. Now, turn 6, the next prime overtaking opportunity. Is he going to try and banzai on the inside? No, Dempsey stays where he is. The soft tyres may well start to feel a bit secondhand by this point. Sammy Bean actually nudged the back of Louis Welch just before the move was made, so there may well be issue. Oh, we've got trouble. Andrew Karapi has had trouble for PSI. He's spun. He's facing the wrong way in the Haas. He's stationary. Oh, no. That's never what you want to see. He's not moving. I'm assuming there's some kind of technical issue there. His car's ghosted, and it's also bouncing on the ground for some odd reason. So, trouble then. We have found our first victim of the race. I would imagine the Paradox Sim racing car is not likely to get going. It doesn't look like it's in a hurry to move from that spot. We are now down to 19 runners. Oh, Samuel Bean's gone really wide coming through turn 13. Patrick Sipos is just going to make an easy pass there. I can't imagine Sam's going to make that difficult for Patrick. Although, in fairness, he didn't kind of jump out of the way. Oh, and George nearly looked on the inside line. to try and overtake Sam Bean as well. Didn't quite pull that one off, though. George is just staying where he needs to be. Alfie Butcher's gained another position. I'm keeping a firm eye on him. He's now our lead. Beg your pardon. He's chasing the hard-tired leader, but he needs to really close in a bit. He's out of DRS range at the moment. But Louis Welch, the Padmeister, is now up into the lead for WOR. Trouble in Sector 3. That's the Haas car of Andrew Karapi that is now running again. But a long, long way down.
I wonder if he had some sort of technical problem with his setup there. It seemed very weird. He was parked up in 7th gear and it was flicking between 7th and 8th gear. So I wonder if he had an issue with his wheel that perhaps caused him to have an incident. On board with Drake Dempsey, and you can just see the front of the car washing out through turn number 7 there. Loses about 0.2 of a second through that corner alone. And then as he drops a bit further back, as the dirty air becomes less of an effect, he is still able to hold it with Louis Welch. So not doing too bad at the moment. Georges Dadair, I think, just frustrated in 5th place at the moment. I think likewise for a lot of these cars, not able to make their way up, as Will Thomas confirming in the chat that Andrew did have a wheel issue, so he is carrying on. Never know if there's a safety car, could get himself back up there. Hopefully that issue doesn't rear its ugly head at any point in the race again, as everyone's just slipstreaming just in this DRS train. Never really seen races where the DRS train has managed to remain this big for this long, as here comes Arturo Dejuan down the inside of Gregory Belatti. And that is Dejuan now back up towards the top 10. He's had a cracking start of this race on those medium tyres. Started in 14th place. He's already got himself up towards the top 10, as that is now Joseph Lowe, who's briefly lost a place. And he now gains it back, gets ahead of Treviano. And Belatti and Dejuan are also battling. There's all sorts of action going off in the midfield. Up towards the front of the order, though. Things staying as they were.
Arturo Dejuan's not done yet on the inside line of turn 1, but that's going to put him in the outside line of 3 and 4 on Gregory Belatti. The Alfa Romeo and Williams side by side still. That hasn't been concluded. Gregory Belatti, I keep saying Giorgio Belatti for some reason. Gregory Belatti back up into 10th position. Yeah, Joseph Loke and Enrico Treviano having a great old scrap for 8th position, but that fighting has dropped 10th and downwards out of DRS range, so that is going to be crucial for how they're going to be able to continue their race. Yes, Will Thomas in chat does confirm that Andrew does indeed have wheel problems. That's what's dropped him a long way back, but hasn't given up, as you say, Luke. So fair play to him. Banking on the safety car, absolutely, but it is certainly possible. We've definitely seen it before. We'll see if that comes to his aid. Around turn 13 comes the field then. Louis Welch has got himself nearly a second's gap over Dempsey now. Is this a sign that the soft tyres are beginning to cry enough? As here comes Nader on Sam Bean then for 4th position. I would think that the softs have had enough. By this stage, Sam Bean, the Spaniard, still fighting away to preserve the 4th position, but can't quite do it. As through into 4th goes the second of the VSR McLarens.
Yeah, great job there, and I think that said it all, and just how easily as well, as we have got a few cars coming into the pit lane, and it is going to be Menno Nyssen, the first driver, who makes his way down towards the Red Bull pit stop. What tyres is he putting on? It is mediums. They can get you to the end of the race fairly comfortably from this point. 21 laps on those mediums. They're not going to be too quick towards the end. You will have to do a bit of management, but they should be no worries with the punctures. One of the Williams coming in as well. That's Gregory Belatti. He's also putting on mediums. Treviano also on the yellow walled Pirelli tyre. So they're the first drivers to pit, and we'll watch their lap times. About 25.5 seconds, 25.2, 25.3 as they make their way around the first corner. We'll keep an eye on the gap to the leader just to see how that changes, just to try and see what sort of advantage a fresh set of mediums have. You'll imagine it won't be long before Dempsey's coming into the pitch. And at the moment, you've got to say, Samuel Bean, he could really lose out in this one because his teammates ahead of him, he's going to have the first say. Bean could be the only soft runner out there, and he's just got cars all over the back of him already. Georges Dadair's pulled out about 0.8 of a second in one lap. And I think we're going to see Nadir get ahead of Sipos, and we're also going to see Keisha manage to make his way past Bean.
And there goes Georges Nader then for 3rd place. Dispatching of the second of the race clutch competitors, although Patrick Sipos giving it everything he can. There goes Daniel Keija on Sam Bean. Nader has nailed Patrick Sipos into turn 14. Now, are the soft runners going to come in? Let's have a look. There goes one. Sipos continues. Interesting. So did Sam Bean come in? Yes, Sam Bean was the one that came in. Yeah, I rather expected Sipos in that lap as well, but he's still fighting with, well, essentially he's still in a battle. So one of them had to blink, and I'm a little surprised that Sipos allowed Sam Bean through. They've obviously discussed the strategy. So yeah, that took me by surprise. I was fully expecting Sipos to come in, but if he can just about hang on, at least he's getting, or still has the opportunity to DRS at the moment. We'll see if that is going to backfire. I dare say he's going to fall pretty heavily at this stage. Is it going to be enough to drop him out of contention for the lead? We will see. No such trouble for the VSR pair back into a 1 and 2 position.
And you can just see how powerful pitting one lap earlier was. Menno Nathan was all over the back of Samuel Bean there. Didn't manage to get the move done, which I think could be crucial for the Alpine. And what could also be crucial, Samuel's not got DRS off the back of Drake Dempsey, who came in that lap. The field has really split up now. Arturo de Juan just losing out on the DRS. He's now 3 seconds off the rest of the pack. And Alfie Butcher, we said one to watch out for, he's now the lead car on the set of the hard tyre. So let's see what he can do later on in this race. In fact, maybe let's see what he can do now. Arturo just weaving a bit down the straight. Daniel Kija is in 3rd place, manages to get that move done. And Alfie Butcher, he's closing, and I think he's going to be close enough to send one down the inside in towards turn number 14. And that is now Alfie Butcher up in towards 6th place. A brilliant job by the TF10 driver so far. And Patrick Sipos, he has come into the pits. We'll wait and see how far down the order he drops. I imagine he is going to be behind Bean and Nyssen and Treviano as well. Should come out ahead of Gregory Belletti, and he'll have the fresh tyres later on in the race. So definitely don't count him out just yet, but definitely maybe taking this short-term pain for a long-term gain later on. But it is now back to a VSR 1-2, back as they started. Welsh, Nader and Kija, your top 3, and Joseph Loke, who are on board with now, just trying to hang on to the back of those in 4th.
He is indeed, as fighting throughout the field continues. Tom Roberts and Cameron Dowds arguing for 9th position right behind Alberto Barros. So hard, medium in that particular squabble. Well, and hard and medium again right behind them. Donoso in 12th then. His teammate up into 5th pace. As I say, I know that Donoso had a bit of a slower start, but Alfie Butcher started right with his teammate, of course, both of them serving a quali ban, has just absolutely taken off on these hard tyres. But how far is that going to take him, and can he continue the pace on the softer tyres? You might think, well, if he's done well on the harder tyres, he'll do even better on the softer tyres. Not always that straightforward. The car balance will change a little bit. How the car feels will change. We will see. It's not always as straightforward as you think, as Nader now closes right in on Louis Welch. The top 2 McLarens are very, very close together. Are they going to fight, or are they going to just go through the Mars? You would expect them to just go through the Mars at this stage. A real brilliant opportunity for VSR to score well against Race Clutch at the moment. But, of course, the top few have still got a pit. As first on the penalty board is Arturo de Juan, who's early promising pace seems to be falling away a little bit. He was really, really scruffy coming through the final turn last time around when Alfie Butcher got past him, as Bogdan Moldovan has just gone past Tom Roberts in 11th position. As the fastest lap is now changing hands. Oh, Struth riding on board with Moldovan. He's just worked his way past Tom Roberts, as right with him is Vincent Nyquist as well, that's trying to make a move for that particular spot. So lots of fighting going on there. Yeah, expect that's not going to be the only penalty we see in this race, as Tom Roberts has lost another one, potentially, to the Red Bull of Vincent Nyquist.
Yeah, it's fighting hard here, side by side through turn number 7 and 8. Is it going to work out? Nyquist has got the inside line for 8, but that's the outside line for 9 and 10. And Tom Roberts is hanging on. Great respectful racing between the two of these, and still the Red Bull there just having to go off the circuit. He'll say was forced off. That himself, Tom, Moldova and Donoso were having a right ding-dong down through the final couple of corners. And Donoso's come out of that pretty well now in 10th place. Back towards the leader of the race, Louis Welsh half a second ahead of his teammate. They've managed to gap Kija, they've managed to gap Loke as well. So that can prove to be very useful in the latter stages of this race. We're on board with Cameron Dowds, of course, disconnected from qualifying, thinks about one down the inside into the hairpin. And fair play to Barros, he saw that one coming because it was a long way back from Cameron Dowds, not able to get it done on the exit, all the way around the outside into turn number 16. Very well done indeed from the young man And that is now Cameron Dowds up towards 8th place. And I think Fabrizio Donoso is thinking about one here on the Williams driver. Although Barros, as you can see, is too busy battling with Dowds. And can Donoso manage to get 2 in one go here? It's going to be very close. In towards turn number 1, turn number 2, and turn number 3. Still the Williams driver is alongside the Ferrari. We've seen plenty of Williams and Ferrari battles throughout the years. Who's going to come out on top on this occasion? Donoso's got one of them, and that gap was just blocked off there by Cameron Dowds. Bit of contact between the two of them, and finally things all settle down. But this massive battle between those drivers, all of a sudden, look at the gap between De Juan and Parnell and Dowds and the rest of those runners who started outside of the top 10 has really put a massive split in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon if Donoso was on softer tyres, he'd have gone for the inside line into turn 6 there, but he's on hard tyres, so he didn't fancy that. He was kind of thinking that his car was going to understeer into the side of Barros, so wisely didn't go for the big move there. So now the field is broken up a little. Well, the rest of the field is broken up a little bit. The McLaren pair, keeping an eye on them. Are either of them going to come in? Probably not. They're going to go another, hazard a guess, another 5 laps before they try and come in. They've got themselves still 1.8 seconds back to Daniel Kieser, who's on his own. Loke is 2.2 behind him. Alfie Butcher, our lead hard runner, is still keeping enough gap behind him to Arturo De Juan to... He doesn't even really need to defend. He's not under immediate pressure. He's just maintaining that gap. Very nicely done. Just letting the hard tyres do their thing. So he will be looking for... Now, he could come in early and go for the medium tyres as Sipos reclaims the fastest lap, or improves on the fastest lap, I should say. Down in 16th position, chasing the Spaniard of Samuel Bean, who's just about on the cusp of getting back into DRS range to the lead of the early pitters of Drake Dempsey. Certainly don't discount them. They are going to really come good a little bit later on. Yeah, there's still plenty of battling to do. Now we're in that kind of strategic element. Halfway in the race, some pit stops have happened, some haven't. Yeah, there's no outright winner at this point in time.
Yes, and let's not forget, when we see the likes of Welsh today, Kieser and Loke pit, they're probably going to come out just behind what we're seeing at the moment. Dempsey just managing to keep being in and around that 1 second mark, and Sipos was quite a lot closer. Made a slight mistake, I think, coming into turn number 6, and has just dropped a tiny bit further back as Dempsey's trying for all his worth to keep Samuel outside of his DRS range there, and Samuel using plenty of his ERS as well to just try and ensure that he stays in it, and I'm not quite sure he's done enough on that occasion. So we'll just drop outside of DRS range, and we're about to see how powerful it's going to be. Half a second between Bean and Sipos. Watch that gap come down between Sipos and Bean, and will in fact Sipos be able to get a move done on his teammate? Very close towards turn number 14. Can't get it done at the moment. We're seeing more swaps further down the field as Donoso goes early off the hard tyres. Fabrizio Donoso into the pit. This has got to be for a set of mediums.
Yeah, Tom Roberts followed him as well. Barros and Dowds having an almighty great scrap. And again, that scrap has continued down into turn 1. Now the Williams ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Yeah, that's what I thought would be the case. For those that weren't liking the hards, get onto the mediums. You know you can push them like mad, burn them down to nothing. Pitting now is absolutely fine. They'll easily last to that stage. If you're going to think about soft, you're going to have to go another 5 laps at least to make soft tyres last that long. I wouldn't be surprised if the hard runners think about coming in at a similar time to the mediums. But of course, the medium runners are in medium starters have got to think about what tyres they're going to go on. Are they going to push their mediums a long way and go to softs, or are they going to jump onto hards? I can't imagine anyone's going to jump onto hard tyres, realistically speaking. So the mediums have got to pay attention to how their tyre wear is going. The VSR pair up front, they're not really looking to challenge each other. Just Louis Welch is just making sure George still has that DRS range. He's keeping that gap is actually increasing between himself and Daniel Kieser rather, as Parnell gets ahead of Antero De Juan, who's now starting to struggle a bit on his medium tyres. And of course, no sign of the pit lane just yet. Antero De Juan is going to look to re-challenge Liam Parnell as Barros is now into the pits. There's another hard runner going onto the medium tyres. So that's just going to leave Alfie Butcher and Liam Parnell on the hard tyres. Patrick Sipos, another improvement to the fastest lap. He's up into 12th now, but still he's got Sam Bean in DRS range right behind him. So that pack from 11th to 11th, 12th, and 13th in that three-way scrap. Yeah, they're still well in with a good chance of some good points.
Yes, and let's not forget, after the pit stops for the leaders, this will be the lead of the race, Dempsey, Sipos and Bean, and it's all about how well can they hold their tyres off. Do not bite them off yet, especially if they're in a DRS train. We saw earlier on, it is possible to overtake in a DRS train around here. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, and you might have to start getting imaginative with some of your moves. Another move that could get pretty interesting soon, Luke versus Butcher. Two drivers, of course, who've progressed from the Xbox platform onto the PC. And we'll see what kind of moves get done here. I think this should be fairly straightforward for Alfie Butcher. He'll have the better tyres at this point of this race. Joseph Lowe thinks about breaking the slipstream. I think realises that he's pretty much doing that in vain. Here comes the Ferrari man, Alfie Butcher, up into 4th place after having a qualifying ban. And he's probably going to be catching those leaders up now by quite a margin. And will also, by the looks of things, be going on to a set of softs at the end of this race. Do not count Alfie Butcher out, possibly for a podium. Who knows, he could even get a win. Crazier things have happened in motor racing. What also could get intriguing soon, Dempsey's only about 3 seconds off the back of those medium runners. If they don't come into the pit soon, they're going to interfere with these drivers. And as I say that, Vincent Nyquist does come into the pits off the medium tyres. 15 laps, that seems too early for a set of softs from my point of view.
Yeah, he's gone hard. That's not a great call. No, there wasn't a front wing change either for the Red Bull. That's not a good call. I would say Vincent Nyquist has made his life very, very difficult, as Donoso now has the fastest lap on his fresh set of medium tyres. I can't see that working out too well for Shazoo, but we will see. One would assume he's practiced his strategy. He knows what he is capable of. I can't see that working, to be honest, but we will see. Vincent Nyquist changing onto the hard tyres. McLaren 1-2 still. Daniel Kija is still pretty much in no man's land, still chasing the papaya orange pair ahead of him. And Alfie Butcher is very much left Joseph Lowe behind. His pace on those hard tyres is just incredible. Liam Parnell's doing a pretty good job, 2 places behind him as well, again on starting starting hard tyres. I will get the right words out in the right order in a minute. Is Alfie Butcher going to come in? Is anybody in the top few going to come in? McLaren's? Nope, they're going to carry on. Aston Martin? Nope. Assuming the Alfie Butcher won't? No, indeed, he's still got plenty of life left in those. What about Joseph? No, he's not interested. And Liam Parnell, yep. So the 2 hard remaining shod cars are definitely looking to go to softs, and they'll be doing that, I would think, in the next 3 to 4 laps.
Yeah, I think all these drivers now that have stayed out have committed themselves to a soft tyre strategy. And probably next lap, could possibly pit on this lap. You'll have to be careful towards the end. I imagine lap 18, lap 19 is where we'll start to see a few more of those drivers come into the pit. Sipos getting really close then to the back of Drake Dempsey. And as you can see, Bogdan Moldovan and Cameron Dowds are not too far ahead of these drivers. Where you catch the traffic could be crucial to the outcome of this race. Sipos just able to carry a bit more speed there, take a bit of a nicer line through turn number 6. Nothing really doing though on the run down towards 7 and 8. It's been a very good race from these guys at the moment. They've done everything they could, got fantastic starts. A lot's going to depend on how far clear they are on the soft runners and how easy it is going to be for those soft runners to make the pass. If they're able to just breeze their way past on places that aren't a DRS straight, it's going to be tough for Dempsey, Sipos and Bean to get this move to work. I mean, I'm looking at the gaps at the moment. I think the likes of Nadir and Welsh are going to be pretty close to Menno Nyssen and Travano. Kajia, Butcher and the rest probably going to come out behind that battle for 13th and 14th place. So they're going to have a bit more traffic to do so, get stuck in dirty air, and that might make a difference to how well your tyres last.
I'm also looking at the ERS energy levels, and they do vary quite a bit. Amazingly, the McLaren pair, because they haven't had to push too hard, are around about halfway stage. But everyone else, Alfie Butcher's battery's nearly empty. And that's not really a surprise, considering he's gained, 13 positions since the start of the race? Yes, he has indeed. So I'm not surprised his battery is running a bit low. But so's Joseph Lowe right behind. Parnell's got 70% still left in the tank. So he's done a great job of keeping that ERS. How relevant is that? Well, you dump the battery at the right time and it can make all the difference. So generally people, generally run a similar amount of battery, but because we don't have one massive great big DRS train anymore, that's why we've got such a wildly varying amount of ERS energy available to different drivers. So that is going to play a very, very key role. ERS management is going to really, really come good towards the tail end of the race. Who's got that little bit of power left to dump into the rear wheels when the tyres are beginning to give up, when the checkered flag is being ready? That's going to be key. Lap 18, are we going to see the still hard shot tyre cars come in for softs? Are we going to see these medium runners push a little bit more? Let's have a look. Again, Louis and George have swapped round, I just realised. So George now leading the way. Padman has let the lead go. Now, does that mean Louis is coming in? No, George is coming in. So we have one medium runner coming in. He's going to, the softs will just about last that long. In comes Keeja. In comes Loke. So now the medium runners have had enough of their tyres. Soft tyres coming onto them. But Alfie Butcher has continued. Well, I mean, if he's got life left in his tyres, what he doesn't have life left is in his batteries. So I'm not a little surprised he didn't follow suit. But then, in fairness, neither's Liam Parnell. So they're going to carry on in lap or two on those hard tyres. Where will the soft runners reappear? George has 12, 13, 14. George Nader right behind and trying to overtake Treviano, and does do, coming through turn 2. What a move from the McLaren.
I mean, that's what he needs to do on these soft tyres. They're good now. He might as well use them. When can he get ahead of Menno Nyssen? Surely he's too far back. No, he's not. There's nothing too far back. But Georges Nader sends it down the inside into turn number 6. Nyssen had to run off the curb, but Nader had to make that move work, and he has done so. Now he can use her soft tyres to get onto the back of Dempsey, Sipos, Moldovan, who is still yet to pit, and Samuel Bean. This is going to be a very intriguing final part to the race. He's currently 4.8 seconds off the net lead. Let's wait and see how things go in the final stages. Let's also see where Welsh, Butcher and Parnell come out, because you imagine Welsh is also going to be behind Nyssen, behind Treviano. Will he be able to stay ahead of Daniel Keeja, or will we see that move be made as well? Here comes Drake Dempsey down the inside of Cameron Dowds. Easter makes that one work, and Sipos, he's able to follow through as well. Can't get the Aston Martin on this occasion. Lewis Welsh comes into the pits, and Liam Parnell stays out, as does Alfie Butcher. So those two cars that started on the hard tyres, clearly feeling their tyres are good, clearly feeling that the softs might start to struggle towards the end.
And they'd be right. So that's going to be fascinating to see how they can make those work a little bit better than everybody else around Donoso. Again, fastest lap, but he's in 14th. What can he do? He's now in 13th as he's just flown past Gregory Belatti for that spot. But he's, 1.8 seconds behind Joseph Loke on those fresh soft tyres. So what can the Ferrari do from there? We will see. So Moldovan coming out in 19th place at the back of the field, other than, of course, the sadly spinning and sadly technical issue bound Andrew Karapi for PSR. Lots of swapping going on in the midfield. Louis Welch has come out I think he came out in 9th, but he's already nailed Nyssen to get back up into 8th, but he's 2.5 seconds behind his teammate. So it goes to show how much of an advantage that George gained for pitting that little bit earlier. Can Louis close him down? Absolutely, he could. George doesn't have DRS yet, but he's then got a pack of 4 cars right ahead. Cameron Dowds has not been in the pits yet. Of course, neither have the top 2. So some of those opponents for George Nader are going to get out of the way, but it's going to be a question of when. Does George have to battle his way through, or will he have an easy run of it? Sam Bean getting close to the back of Cameron Dowds. Nothing coming as yet. Now, in comes Parnell, but Butcher still carried on. Has he pushed that a little bit too far? In comes Cameron Dowds now. I'm beginning to wonder whether Alfie's pushing those hards a little bit too far, as that's going to be soft tyres. And then George Nader with the fastest lap. That's not really a surprise. Well, Joseph Loke says, hold my beer, I'm having this. So, Loke, fair play to claim the fastest lap. Now Sam Bean's got his, or still behind his teammate, Patrick Sipos, Drake Dempsey, leading this little trio. fighting for second position, but right behind them is Nader for VSR. Ooh, I think my bet of Sipos isn't for race wins not going to be as straightforward as I thought, but it's going to be all down to how much life they can just keep in those soft tyres towards the end.
If I'm being honest, I'd have probably pitted the lap that Louis Welsh came into the pits. I think that might have been the optimum time to come in. I do think Butcher has definitely dragged this on a bit too far. He's only going to be doing 7 laps on his soft tyres. We saw drivers do 8 earlier on without really looking in too much trouble, and that was when they had a full tank of fuel. So this really shouldn't be a problem for the likes of Welsh, Nader, Keisha, and I think Joseph Loke as well, who's now finding himself stuck all over the back of Menno Nyssen and gets that move done into turns number 11 and 12. And there you see Samuel Bean aggressively descending against Georges Nader, and we know how quick Nader can be, and we know how good he can be on the brakes, but that Alpine has got some supreme straight line speed at the moment, and Nader was nowhere close to getting that move working. He's going to have to be imaginative. He's going to have to think, possibly, about a move into turn number 6 again, possibly into turn number 1, as this battle for second becomes the battle for the lead of the race with 7 laps to go. Alfie Butcher's into the pits. Here comes Georges Nader then, on the back of Samuel Bean. Is he close enough to go for one into turn number 1? Not on this occasion. Has to just stay behind. Doesn't quite have the grip to go all the way around the outside, or does he? Or does he have enough grip down the inside at 1 and 2? That gives him that inside line for turn number 3, and just purely manages to out-traction Samuel Bean. And that is Georges Nader into a podium slot. Sipos and Dempsey have got to get a move on.
That's twice he's pulled that move off. He did it when he came out of the pits. Great move from Georges Nader into a podium position. Louis Welsh is right there as well, ready to do battle with Sam Bean. Daniel Keisha a couple of seconds behind, but the more this pack fights, the more likely it is that the second of the WOR car, say that quickly 5 times, is then going to get into the battle. But WOR, a team that is last in the team championship, is leading this race post pit stops. Are they going to be towards the tail end of the race? I don't reckon so. It is advantage VSR at the moment, as Louis Welsh has just flown past Sam Bean into turn 11. Race Clutch are in a good position, but I reckon that VSR are going to be overhauling it. We will see. DRS train, off we go. It's going to be Drake Dempsey's going to be a very popular man here. There goes the Alpine. What's George going to do? Is he going to try and part the waves? No, he's staying right behind the Alpine. Sipos just about noses up into the lead. Can't quite get it done at the moment. Right, I'm riding on board with Louis Welsh. He's got the best seat in the house. Still side by side. Drake Dempsey gets back up into the lead. Nudges Sipos heading towards the tail end. Oh no, as Sipos and Dempsey come together, that's given the VSR boys the momentum and advantage. Georges Nader leads Louis Welsh. Sipos gets past Dempsey. Can Sam Bean follow suit? No, still side by side between the Aston Martin and the Alpine. Sam Bean has managed to get, Patrick Sipos has managed to get back up into third, but Drake Dempsey has had the better drive coming out of turn 4. Sipos on the inside line coming into 6 now, side by side. Bean tries to get involved. Who's going to win out? They're still side by side. There's not giving up. And finally, Dempsey has to concede. But look at the gap that's given to the VSR McLarens. They already have the advantage. They do not. They're not giving DRS to Patrick Sipos. All that fighting for that third place battle has allowed the VSR pair to run off into the distance.
And that all started with a tiny bit of contact that could have had disastrous consequences. Thankfully, it did not. That tiny bit of contact just opened the door for Nader, opened the door for Welsh. And they are now comfortably leading this race. And you've got Daniel Keisha not too far off the back of these drivers. Can he still sneak himself onto the podium? Joseph Loke and Alfie Butcher aren't too far behind. Those could be the drivers in the top 5. Sipos, Dempsey and Bean could just find themselves losing out later on, as there goes Louis Welsh, manages to get ahead of Georges Nader. I wonder if that was maybe a bit orchestrated. I wonder, Welsh was leading for most of this race. Yes, he did lose out before the pit stops. He's now retaken the lead of the race. Are they going to be free to battle, or are team orders going to come to play here at VSR? Some great battles going on further down the field for the final points place. Liam Parnell all over the back of Menno Nyssen at the moment. Menno has got DRS off the back of Enrique Treviano. I think that is what's just saving him at the moment, as Fabrizio Donoso thought about going round the outside on his medium tyres. Let's not forget, he went for the hard medium strategy. Not quite sure that has worked as well as he wanted at the moment. Might still be able to pick himself up a couple of points off it. Sipos ahead of Dempsey, and Keisha's got ahead of Bean. And here comes Liam Parnell. He's going to have to try it the long way round at turn number 6, which isn't something you see too often. He's just got so much more grip, though, on the brakes. He's able to get well ahead before he even makes it to the apex of the corner. 5 laps to go. It looks like we're going to get a McLaren 1-2. We'll have to wait to see which order that's going to be in. Answers on a postcard, though, as to who's going to be the other car on the podium.
That's going to be it, isn't it? Daniel Kieja got on the inside line of Sam Bean coming through turn 3, following Georges Nader's example, and made it work. Fair play to him. I mean, at the moment, it is advantage soft runners. Do they have enough life in their tyres? But pushing them this hard, will they have that life towards the end of the race? I suspect when the McLaren pair swapped round, it was probably just because Louis had DRS off the back of George. They can play that game of leapfrog and just continue to push on away from the chasing pack. 2.4 seconds separates the what is now Georges Nader to Patrick Sipos, as Alfie Butcher has just gone past Joseph Loke into 7th position. The McLaren pair can just run off now. There's not really much going on there as Daniel Kieja flies through, or tries to, on the inside line on Patrick Sipos. Patrick gives the Aston Martin a bit of a punch in the face coming through turn 2 and back up into that 3rd place. The more they fight, the more they're bringing in Alfie Butcher, who's bringing in Joseph Logan. Liam Pano's a little bit further back. But another 2 cars join this conga line from 3rd, now down to 8th place.
Yeah, fascinating at the moment. And let's not forget, still, we only have one driver with a penalty, Arturo de Juan. We don't know how close these drivers are to getting a penalty, as Donoso just drops a bit further down the order. I think he must have had some contact at turn number 6, and that is bad news for TF10. Looked as though they might be able to sneak a point out of this race with Donoso. He now drops towards 13th. They might still be able to sneak a podium out of this race with Alfie Butcher, who's going to have the inside line for turn number 11. Gets it done on the brakes. And that is Alfie Butcher up in towards 6th. Andrew Karafi just having a bit of fun at the back of the field. Sets the fastest lap of the race. Not sure we're going to see any of these cars beat that now. I think it is crucial for Daniel Kieja that he gets this move done on Patrick Sipos and manages to stay ahead. He is going to get the move done in towards turn number 14. With barely any ERS though, is Sipos going to have a chance to possibly fight back despite being on the much worse tyres? And I think that exit straight away out of turn number 15, turn 14 and 15 might have shown you the answer to that. Yes, he's got DRS, but half a second behind into turn 1. Surely that's Kieja up into 3rd place for now. Just remains to be seen whether Butcher is able to catch him up.
Yeah, definitely advantage Kieja, but how much life is in the tyres? That is going to be the biggest question. Yeah, that battery is pretty dead at the moment. Oh no, Joseph Lowe has disconnected from the session in 8th, so that Haas is likely to just plummet through the field. I mean, if the AI is feeling particularly nasty, it'll actually pit us. Oh my goodness, Alfie Butcher has gone for a big move. It was actually Dempsey trying to defend from Alfie Butcher. Alfie went for the outside line at turn 6, but the Aston Martin had no answer. 16-lap-old mediums against 3-lap-old softs, so you kind of know which way that's going to go. That's going to put Butcher now on Sipos's case, who is still only half a second off the back of Kieja. The podium 3 are not decided yet. The McLarens may have the stranglehold on the top 2, but like you say, Luke, who is going to claim that 3rd? And it's going to be between the Aston Martin for WOR and the Ferrari of TF10.
Yeah, it's going to be intriguing. Really interesting to see at the moment. And Butcher, this is now where staying out this couple of laps longer could be interesting. 3 laps off tyres doesn't sound like a big difference, unless you're at the Shanghai International Circuit, where it's an absolutely monumental difference between the life of the tyres. Look how much later Butcher is able to go on the brakes from Sipos, from Kieja, that concertina effect into the hairpin. 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Welsh Nader, your top 2. We've got this fascinating battle for the final podium slot on the penultimate lap of the race. Parnell now getting ahead of Loke as well. His AI car deciding that this strategy is not going to work. He comes into the pits. Such a shame for Joseph Loke to disconnect from what has been a fantastic race from him. And Butcher taking a different line through turn number 3. This will give him a better exit. And Sipos has been a bit suspect on exit here a few times. And this could be another move all the way around the outside from Alfie Butcher. He's going to have to go the long way round. Can he get it stopped in time? And Sipos might just be able to fight this one. He's not got the traction though. That is Alfie Butcher up towards 4th.
That's two positions in 2 laps in exactly the same place. that Alfie Butcher has managed to claim. His teammate, however, Donoso's had to come in for a new front wing, so that's going to drop Fabrizio way out of the order. He is now down to Keija and Butcher. WOR versus TF10 for the last podium spot. Oh, come on, let's have a go at this. Both of them with soft tyres. Keija's is 3 laps older, but with only 1 and a bit laps remaining. Can the Aston Martin hold on? We know how strong the ERS and DRS is, and Keija goes straight to that defensive line, and Alfie Butcher is just mullering him at this point, but he's got no ERS energy left. I mean, Keija's not got a brilliant amount in fairness. So yes, Butcher is ahead coming into turn 14, but it's now going to be roles reversed coming down in towards turn 1. The Aston Martin's now going to have DRS along with Sipos and Dempsey and Bean right behind them. So WOR in a fantastic place to really get some points, but Butcher's had an absolute exit of the gods from that final turn to maintain his hold on that podium spot, and that's where the value of 3 laps less on the soft tyres really kicks in. Is that corner exit there is exactly what he needed. It was now on the final lap here in Shanghai.
Yeah, I can't see Keija having enough grip coming through turns 11, 12 and 13 to be able to get close enough to Butcher. WOR is going to be by far their best result of the season. They're more than doubling their points total at the moment. Provisionally, I haven't seen them be involved in any incidents. We'll have to wait and see if there are any penalties coming for any drivers, but Keija's done a fantastic job. Butcher, though, what a superb strategy that has been from the hard tyres, going on to a set of softs when not many others did. Donoso, his teammate, could have done the same. Definitely seems to have worked out for Butcher. Will Keija actually even be within DRS range here of Alfie Butcher? And if he's not, that might put him under a bit of pressure from Sipos behind. I think he's just done enough to stay within the DRS range. We'll stick on board with him as he comes across the activation point. He's using a bit of ERS there. He's definitely not confident, and he's not got DRS, and this could be a chance for Patrick Sipos on those mediums to shoot himself back into the top 4 there, because Patrick Sipos manages to get the move done. Keija's going to try to fight it back into the hairpin, and which one of these is going to manage to get the best exit? I think Keija is just about going to hold on to this one. He is indeed. Welsh takes the victory. Nader in second place. Alfie Butcher from a qualifying ban to a podium. Keija, Sipos, Dempsey, Bien, the rest of your finishers. You've got a right ding-dong battle going on here for 12th and 13th place. Alberto Boras is going to take that one. Treviano gets some points for ET8. Nyson in 10th place. De Juan just misses out. And you can see the rest of the finishing order there. In the end, a fairly straightforward win from VSR. Lewis Wells takes first. Georges Deder takes second place. And they retake the lead of this championship.
What a way to do it. They were 15 points behind Race Clutch coming into this round, with Race Clutch drivers 5th and 7th in this race. And a clean sweep. Well, not quite, because the VSR boys did not get fastest lap. That's the only thing they didn't do. But my goodness me, they did everything else absolutely spot on. Oh, wow. That's really going to make the championship even more spicy coming into the final 3 rounds. Next time around, he's going to be at COTA. So, yeah, I'm not surprised about that. Alfie Butcher gaining 14 positions from 17th on to 3rd. Great stuff. Yeah, I'm not even commenting on that.
Yeah, great stuff from Alfie Butcher, not so great stuff from Louis Welsh's AI there. Thankfully, a lot better at driving than they are at dancing. We wait ages for 1-2, they're like London buses. We wait ages for 1-2 in this series, and then 2 come at once. It was Race Clutch and Alpine's turn in France, and it is the McLaren with VSR behind the wheel who take a 1-2 here at the Chinese Grand Prix in the Global Championship. Alfie Butcher finishing in 3rd place from 17th. An absolutely sublime job. Keeps TF10 in contact. Daniel Keija getting in his first race WOR's best result with 4th. Patrick Sipos tried as he might to make that strategy work. He finishes 5th. Dempsey, Bean, Parnell, Enrique there. Trejano in 9th place. Menno Nyson just picking up a point as well in 10th because Arturo De Juan had a penalty. Roberts, Barros, Dowd, Belletti, Moldovan, Loke. Such a shame for him after disconnecting. Donoso, Nyquist and Karapi. Thankfully, we had all 20 drivers finish, which is always fantastic to hear. We'll be back with a debrief from the race very shortly. simply sublime in Shanghai from Visceral Racing. They take a 1-2 then, with Louis Welsh bringing it home in first place, George Nader in second place, Alfie Butcher getting the in-game driver of the day. You've got to say well deserved. You wonder if this race was just a couple of laps longer with those fresher tyres, who knows what could have happened.
Well, indeed. I mean, obviously we won't know, but what a great performance from Alfie. We said before, didn't we, that he was definitely one to watch, but I did not expect to be seeing him on the podium. Great effort. But VSR did everything absolutely spot on. We didn't really see them put a foot wrong all night long. Absolutely superb stuff from the Padmeister of Louis Welch and Georges Nader. Great effort there. But I mean, WOR, take a bow. That was a brilliant performance from both drivers to get 4th and 6th. Just a storming haul of points, considering how the season's gone for them. There was great fighting everywhere, wasn't there? But you cannot deny that certainly my driver of the day vote would indeed go to the Ferrari of Alfie Butcher. That was a storming performance.
Yeah, indeed. We've had someone say in the Discord here, note that overtake a bit questionable. I wonder if that was for the move on Nader, that Nader managed to pull off on Nyssen. He got it done. It was a bit of a dive, but it was definitely contact, and Nyssen had to take avoiding action. So we'll wait and see if the stewards have anything to say about that one. I mean, we talked about WOR having that fantastic end to the race as well. Sipos tried as he might on those medium tyres, almost got 4th place, which on that strategy, I think would have been probably the best they could have hoped for at the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Whilst I was thinking that the race clips were going to come through, it wasn't quite their night. The VSR guys did exactly what they needed to do. Didn't lose their head, which is very easy to do during the pit stop phase. They knew what they were capable of. No doubt they've practiced this routine, and you can see that they're taking it a bit more seriously than possibly some others. Really pushing through, and we have our first interviewee ready to go, Mr. Etheridge.
Right, first interviewee ready to go, so won't be too long before we get these in. Always great to hear from what the drivers think. I think, as we said, was an absolutely fantastic race, and I'm sure we're all very much looking forward to hearing what everyone thought about this. So, without further ado, let's drag them in. Let's drag in the man who finished in second place in his debut in this series. It is Georges Nader. A fantastic job from yourself and Louis Welsh today. Brilliantly played on the strategy. Tell us about what happened on the pit straight when it looked like yourself, Sipos, and I think it was Dempsey came very close to crashing.
First of all, thank you for the warm welcome. To be fair, I don't know. I mean, when Patrick and Drake made contact, I was behind them, and Louis and I were like, "Whoa, what's happening?" And then I saw them both going to the left. To be honest, I thought Patrick would park it to the right, but yeah, he made it a bit easy for me. So yeah, I don't know. I wasn't aware that I was close to crashing with them, but yeah, I mean, they were touching before even I was side by side. So.
Yeah, definitely. Tell us, when you came out of the pits, you were lightning fast. You managed to get ahead of, I think it was Treviano, pretty quickly as well. Tell us about that move into turn 6 on Nyssen. It looked very dramatic indeed.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that I had to, make moves quickly, because obviously I wasn't aware of who behind me pitted or who's going longer. And if I got stuck a bit too much in traffic, especially that I knew that the Race Clutch boys would try and obviously defend to keep their positions. So I knew I needed to make the moves quick, and I should have taken a bit of risks, but luckily they were all measured, and I came out perfect at the end.
Yeah, it certainly did. Chris, any questions for the man who finished in second place in that race?
You did all your talking on the track, George. It was great to see, and very much look forward to seeing your performances from this point on. Great stuff. Well done.
Cheers. Thanks for the commentating. That was usual. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure to commentate on a race like that, George. Congratulations on your second place. We'll let you head off. Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Louis will be joining us. He's clearly pretty hungry after what was an absolutely fantastic race for himself. But we have got the man who finished in third place, in-game driver of the day, and I think our driver of the day as well, Alfie Butcher. Chris, I'll hand it over to you.
So with a quali ban leading into this session, what did you think? Were you eyeing up a podium, or what was the thought between you and Fabrizio coming into this race?
Well, in practice, we did obviously no quali practice because for obvious reasons. We've mainly focused on the race and going long into it, which I did, and I felt that worked well. We were obviously hoping for damage limitation, and we definitely did that. Fab got unlucky at the start with a lot of just couldn't get through the traffic, but I found my way through quite nicely, and it worked very well.
We were sure that you'd gone possibly a lap too long on those starting hard tyres. Were they really starting to give up on you, or were you confident you could have carried on a little bit longer if you had to?
The hards are really good around here, I found out. Like on the last lap, I was setting really good laps, really good pace. They last forever. They just, obviously, compared to the softs, they are losing a lot of time. But the fresh softs are very, very useful, and that's why I went out longer.
And working your way through up to, gaining 14 positions to finish on the podium. I mean, what a way to see off the race. Great stuff. Well done.
Thank you, Chris.
All yours, Luke.
Yeah, definitely. Just heading into the next few races of the season, we have got Mexico next time out, Alfie. I mean, obviously we don't know if you'll be racing there. If you are, do you think that's a track you can do well on?
I feel like I can, if I put the practice in, I feel like I can get a good result. Obviously no quali ban, hopefully, this time. But yeah, I hope I can get a good result if I'm racing.
Yeah, I'm sure you will with the pace you've shown so far this season. So congratulations, Alfie, on another podium for yourself in TF10.
Cheers.
Yeah, so as we were alluding to there, it is going to be Mexico next time out, as you can see on the screen as well. Always I think a circuit that everyone seems to enjoy and always seems to provide some fascinating racing as well. What do you think we can expect there at the Mexican Grand Prix? DRS trains, we know, are going to really be the order of the day.
Similar to what we've seen here in Shanghai, you've got so much real twisty demands on the car, and then you've got a honking great straight along the back. So it's going to be difficult, but this one, Mexico is going to be a little bit more dependent on aerodynamic efficiency and steering stability. So that's where our drivers are going to have to really think about how they're going to set the cars up. And also, overtaking is not quite as straightforward as we've seen in Shanghai. So it's going to be a more challenging race for certain.
Yeah, I think it is. Like you said, overtaking is just that tiny bit more, perhaps that tiny bit more difficult as well. 3 DRS straights, again, there's a circuit where the 2-stop strategy can definitely be a good one. VSR now leading the championship. If they carry on this form, they're going to be hard to beat, but Race Clutch, perhaps a bit of an off day after what happened last time out. TF10, brilliant job from Alfie, but Fabrizio just not able to make that strategy work quite as well. Not sure at the moment how many points they are behind. It's definitely not unrecoverable. I don't think they can afford having a race again, though, where only one of their drivers is up towards the front.
No, indeed. That's going to make challenge of the top very, very hard for TF10. Not impossible, though. All it takes is somebody else to have a bad day, and the pendulum can swing back to them. But that's quite a blow. Despite Alfie's best efforts there, and 3 for 3 podiums in the races he's taken part in this series. So you can never discount them. But that's a really hard uphill battle for TF10.
Yeah, it is. Not a bad run whatsoever, Alpha there. Getting podiums in every race he has taken part in. That is pretty much it then for this stream. Thank you so much to the drivers for putting on a brilliant race, and Alfie and George for joining us. Thanks to Chris for making an appearance in the commentary box. We'll have to wait and see whether we do get to hear your dulcet tones again this season. Next time out, I believe Josh is going to be back, probably looking a hell of a lot more tanned than he was when we saw him a week ago for the Mexican Grand Prix. VSR have retaken the lead of the championship. Can Race Clutch fight back? And can TF10 just keep their noses in the first and ever Global Championship powered by GT Omega? Take care of yourselves, everyone, and goodbye.